Welcome, 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 everybody. Hey, look at all those wonderful people in the live chat there. How's it going? I'm JL. Good to see everybody. Y'all look fantastic today in your digital formats. So, welcome. Welcome to another live stream. I appreciate y'all being here. It's been an interesting day today, and we do have some interesting stuff to talk about. As you saw, if you read the description, there's some obviously there's an update on Jingles. So I can let y'all know what's going on with him. And then, of course, some disturbing stuff that went down in Wisconsin, which I think we need to be aware of for those who might not be aware of what's going on up north. And of course, we have a video that we're going to look at. I actually wanted to watch this live, and I want to do a live reaction. And I'm also going to do a created content video about it as well, so that other people can reference that instead of having to sit through this entire live stream. So I have an upcoming video, but we're going to look at it, and then I'm going to do my created content video about it. But and we have a special guest as well. So before we bring him up, I'm going to say hi. I would say hi to everybody in the chat. Oh, holy crap. Sean Alexander is a new member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Sean Alexander. You rock. Thank you so much. And of course, I appreciate that. Now enjoy your channel badge, which is the expanding brain, expanding mind meme. And the longer you're a member, and of course, all of the very cool emojis that I make for you, like Darth Dawkins with red duct tape, crying Otangelo, Donut Earth, Meh Koala, like my little koala here on my screen. I have all kinds of emojis. I hope that y'all like them, and more will be unlocked as we add more members to the Godless Army. So I appreciate your support, Sean Alexander. You rule. All right, so who else do we have? Let's say hi to everybody in the chat before we jump down to it, and we'll bring the special guest up because it was, like I said, it was an exciting day today. We've got Just Call Me Abby's in the house. Good to see you, Just Call Me Abby. Says, who's the guest tonight? You will find out, good sir. Angie's in the house. Good to see you, Angie. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm glad that you're in need of a conversation because we have a conversation to have, and I'm excited about it. Looking forward to it. Oh, we'll get the. Oh, wow. Those are those new. I see those deals come up. Charlie Welch, Logical Hillbilly, and Mr. Malort, all members of the Godless Army who are posted in there. That I think those are very cool. That I can see how long you guys have been members. That's awesome. Oh, okay. So, Sean, I see you renewed it. Fantastic, and I appreciate that, man, big time. All right, so. Also, we got Charlie Welch in the house. Is bullshit. It's fucking freezes. Hope y'all find people who enjoy. Remember, Angie says it's beautiful in any weather. Charlie Welch says bullshit. Angie, it's fucking freezing. It's actually kind of cold here. It's where I'm wearing a fleece. Everybody knows I'm further north than a lot of others, but it's cold as the Dickens out here. Cold as a witch's unmentionables. And so I get to Charlie Welch. And of course, thank you, Charlie Welch, a member of the Godless Army. And of course, the only man on the internet you never make a bet with. So good to meet you. Good to see you, Charlie Welch. And Clive Welch is in the house. It's hello, everyone. Good to see you, Doctor. Pleasure to have you here. Nimrod's in the house. Is hello, everybody. Good to see you, Nimrod. Bob Nodell's Gyroscope. Keep on spinning there, Chief. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And, of course, Sean Alexander said hi. Thank you so much, dude. Atheist Mando's in the house. Says, JL, what are some topics on the channels everyone's not allowed to talk about? Like to name a few: politics, MLMs, economics, ethics. So, Atheist Mando, thank you so much for being here. Night Noodler's in the house. Good to see you. Captain Welshie as well. Hello to you. Commander Darklight's in the house. Another member of the Godless Army. Good to see you, sir. All the way from Australia. So, even though some people think it doesn't exist, we know because Commander Darklight's down there, it does exist. Good to see you. Watch out for the drop bears. I appreciate you being here. And let me see who else we got in the house. Donnie Does That's in the house. Good to see you, Donnie. Thank you so much for being here. And Turing Test 2, another member of the Godless Army. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much for the support. Dib's in the house. Good to see you. And I see Logical Hillbilly says, what's up, good people, with a number of cool emojis. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Wrote it no last names in the house. Gabba to you, sir. And Charlie Welch running barefoot through a meadow, this time with a dame at my side and axe in hand. She doesn't even know I plan to kill her. Blame the music. I love that intro music. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much. Mr. Malort, another member of the Godless Army. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that Guinness. I do appreciate you being here. And I see KCA Randy. What up? Good to see you. Robert Caslow. What's up, fellow globe-tarded heretic? And, of course, John Rapp. Good to see you, sir. Pleasure to have you. D. Elwood's in the house. Another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much for the support, Chief. Jinju's in the house. Mr. Colby, too. And there's Randolph Richardson, and we're going to jump at that. Clive Wells with the Ghost. Remember, ghosts are alternative energy sources. Inside joke. But Gary Donnelly, good to see you. Another member of the Godless Army. Oh, I like that logical hillbilly. Colder than a well digger's ass. Definitely. It's chilly. It's the wind, really, is what it is. When the wind's not blowing, it's tolerable. But when the wind is going, and of course, this is Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. So it kind of sucks sometimes. Just call me. Abby's in the house. Good to see you. Tony Regime is in the house. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Cindy Johnson, a member of the Godless Army. Good to see you, hon. Thank you so much for being here. I think I got everybody. I did. I think I got everyone. So let us bring, and Skooma Cat. Good to see you, Skooma Cat, jumping into the last second. Thank you all so much for being here. It's you can tell my energy's up. This is really, really exciting. So first and foremost, let me just introduce. I have a special guest on today. We're going to have a little bit of a chat, and that is because we recently spent the last, I think, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, like 4.5 hours over on Discord in the stage, talking to theists and engaging with different arguments for God. See if anybody could give us something that was convincing. And of course, a predictive model, nobody did. But I'm really excited because I have enjoyed his work and enjoyed watching his debates before. So we'll bring him up with no further ado. Please, everybody in the chat, welcome Randolph Richardson. Make sure you unmute, bud.
Hello.
There yes. He is.
I've had enough audio problems for today.
I know, right.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a delight to be on your channel and be on your show. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. And it really was getting invited to be on the stage with y'all, because the stages on Discord were a lot of fun when they were just kind of like you could put them up there, and the stage discovery was cool. Everybody could come and check out. I've been in stages where we had like 500 people coming in, and it's an absolute blast. Getting an opportunity to do it on a really large server like Politics was a lot of fun. So, and of course, it was you. I got to be up there with you, with Jack Burton, with X, and with Taco, and we just had an absolute blast.
Yeah. Yep. And the topic for people who may not have seen it is to try to convince us any of us on the panel that a god or a goddess or exists, or deities. I always threw that in because they might have a polytheistic kind of argument. We didn't get any of that, but maybe next month. We're all thinking to do this on a monthly basis.
It would be very cool, and if we can do that regularly, we'll definitely see that audience grow. So, Randolph, you have your own channel, and everybody can see Randolph got his information kind of scrolling in the banner above his deal, so you can check his stuff out there.
Yeah.
And but first and foremost, to introduce you to the people who don't know who you are and the work that you do. So you're up in Canada,
yes,
and you run
an organization.
An organization called Canadian Atheists.
That's correct, plural.
Okay.
Yes, and you got it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the work that you do over there, and namely where people can find information and what the intention of Canadian Atheists is.
Okay, so I started Canadian Atheists approximately 8 years ago. You lose track of the time. It goes by so fast. It's easy, but I saw an opportunity to create this organization because I know it's like other countries have them. The U.S. is probably the most well known for it with the American Atheists, and each country, these national atheism organizations are doing things to advocate for atheists and promote atheism, and they're all doing a really good job within their own demographics. Here in Canada, we didn't have one, so I created the Canadian Atheists. And what we're focused on is to use a gentle, non-confrontational approach, because that works well in our culture here. And because a lot of Canadians don't really go around telling everybody what religion they are or what their political affiliation is. I tend to stay away from the politics because politics doesn't make anybody happy.
Right.
So it's
especially
a good
down here in the States. Especially down here in the States.
So I've heard. Yes, I've heard. And the echoes come across the border sometimes. It's pretty interesting. So there's the views are quite contentious. It's different here in Canada. We have 5 major political parties for voters to choose from, whereas in the US you have 2 major parties. So we don't see the level of polarization that is commonly observed in the US. that's centered around politics, for example. But there's advantages and disadvantages with both kind of setups. I'm sure you know how it is. And but with Canadian Atheists, what I figured we would do is, because there are some people here who do vilify atheists, and it's always unfair vilification. It has nothing to do with not believing in a deity or anything like that. So they'll do that. They'll vilify, or they'll promote the stigmatization. One such example more recently is Dr. Jordan V Peterson. He's been becoming famous very, very recently, and he makes statements like when he was talking with Matt Dillahunty at the Chan Center for Performing Arts, which is located at the University of British Columbia here in the Greater Vancouver area of BC, Canada. He was explaining that at one point that atheists are all Christians and we just don't know it. And of course, I take issue with that. And
we actually got some of that on the stage today.
Yeah,
I remember
today.
God exists. You're just suppressing it or denying it. I'm like, I'm telling you straight up, dude. I don't know that this thing exists.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it happens, right? So, and that's part of the stigmatization that goes on, or it's more of a foundation for the stigma and the vilification and all this. Probably more on the vilification side, because they tend to go next with, well, if you're not with God, you're against him, because that's right in the Bible. I think it's in the book of John, but I don't remember exactly. And so it has this kind of bifurcated black and white fallacy thing going on. And there are other options. There's no need to limit people's scope in their answers to these kinds of questions. So Matt Dillahunty asked a very smart follow-up question. And he said to Jordan Peterson, what, in your view, would a true atheist be like? And so Jordan Peterson's response is that a true atheist would be like Raskolnikov in the novel Crime and Punishment, be going around murdering people. So, like I said, he set the foundation,
Wow.
and then he went to that. I know. I've tried to contact Jordan Peterson a few times and challenge him to a conversation on these points. I've had no response. I assume he's just busy, though, because he's famous. He's got a lot to keep up with.
Oh yeah, he's got to keep promoting his support of conversion therapy.
But yeah, for him to get into this conversation, I'll let him make his case, and then I'll put up my perspective and try to rip it apart, right? So I think deep down he knows that it's not a tenable position to support, and so I suspect if he has considered this, he would probably think better to steer clear of it, because it's not going to help him.
So John Rabb mentions in the chat, and I got to bring this up, says, hey, Bridge the Divide, the nice and charitable Christians claim that Randolph Richardson is a devil-worshipping, immoral, evil atheist who hates God. I like him.
Has John Rapp been reading the Conservapedia page about me? I'm not kidding. There is one there.
When I finally get one, I'll feel that I have arrived. I feel that I will have landed, because I'm checking. I have like the checklist. I've engaged Darth. I've engaged Nephilim. I've engaged Mr. Batman. So I've got like the worst of the worst checked off on Discord. And apparently I've had like a few creations here. I've nailed some creationist debates. Slowly but surely I'm getting there. Eventually I'll have a page dedicated, and I'll be like, I'm done. I can just finally rest. But yeah,
I think you're well equipped intellectually for it. Your insights and your responses to things are right on the mark. You're doing really well. So
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Yeah. I know that on occasion, and I was trying to keep my cool, especially when you have like bombastic individuals like Nephilim Free and Mr. Batman there, and the guy who thinks like we're all infected with like mind controlling worms. Not sure how.
That was bizarre.
The first one I'd heard about that, I was kind of like,
yeah,
really? But then, and I finally got to ask him, because he started like sending me all of this like ancient medieval imagery, like images in the chat of like people with snakes, and they're obviously snakes. They look like snakes, and it's like, these are worms. These are all worms. Like, no, that image has a forked tongue, and worms don't have tongues. So, and he was kind of like, no, these are worms. They were trying to say worms. I was like, dude, does toxoplasmosis, does it reproduce in human beings? And it cause issues? Like, yes, it does. It's like, okay, you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's,
I loved it that you brought up that point. Anytime you mention cats or something related to cats in the stream automatically gets better ratings. That's just the way the internet works.
Absolutely. Well, this is fun. So it was a lot of fun doing that and having that. We didn't, like I said, we didn't have. I kind of wanted Darth Dawkins to show up, and I know it's dangerous to like invoke his name because he may show up in the chat. But I wanted Darth Dawkins to show up. I kind of wanted Otangela to show up. But I think with our big panel, I don't think they really wanted to. So but from what we got, and we were up there for like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
What was your favorite one? Like just conversation that kind of struck you the most?
Oh boy, yeah. I kind of liked conversing with everybody, but what I really enjoyed the most were the conversations where the people who came on as guests to talk with us were calm and easygoing and didn't get into interrupting it. Those ones I enjoyed, and it's hard for me to put a favorite on any of them, but those ones I liked more. So those were reasonable and enjoyable, and yeah.
An easygoing conversation is much better, and it was wild because a lot of them were really, really cool. But a lot more atheists than we anticipated. We got more atheists than we did theists.
Yeah.
And the ones we knew were going to be bad, because we've interacted with them before, we've dealt with them in the past. It's like yeah, this is probably going to turn into a shit show, like having Nephilim free up here and so on and so forth. But otherwise, I think it went really, really well. And if we can schedule this and get it going like once a month, like have a once a month big stage, that's going to go really, really far. And fingers crossed we're able to pull it off.
Yeah, and Taco, the organizer, will be helping to spearhead all this, I'm sure. And I'm going to chat with him in the coming days and see where we're at with things, because at this point, I think a lot of people need a rest after that. Was there anything that stood out for you?
Okay, so my mind keeps going back to the mind controlling worms. And why anybody believe this? Because I just get stuck on that because it was
so
the first
different.
time, I know it was the first time I never heard it, and I was kind of like,
me too.
I'm like, this is an argument. Like people believe this. It was like whatever. But the one that stuck out to me was the guy. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. Oh wait, no, dang it. Shalom was the discussion with Shalom, and the reason that was so important to me was because he was literally going through his interpretation of the Bible and how he was basically using information that he's already aware of in other parts of the Bible to kind of twist, to kind of like justify a certain perspective about the book of Genesis. And I wanted him to justify that because not all Christians do that. Assume that it was like, oh, well, obviously the only possible human version of God walking around in the Garden of Eden would have to be Jesus, because Jesus was the human version he chose later on in the book. And I'm kind of like, well, wait a minute. But we didn't even get into the whole like, well, one half of it is Jewish and one half of it is Gentile, one half of it is non-Gentile. I'm kind of like, okay, well, hang on a sec. And we didn't get to that because it was really important for the audience to see. Trying to justify one hermeneutic over another, no matter how you're doing it, you just can't do it. So, and we wanted to get to that point, but I think there was a moment in there where I heard, because when he paused and he was kind of like, and I think it clicked for him, and that's when he doubled back and started like really trying to really got defensive, because it was kind of like,
yeah,
because he just got silent for a second. I was like, oh, I think he gets it. I think the wheels
cognitive dissonance setting in. Yeah, it took
right.
over. Yeah. No, that was a good interaction you had with him. Really, really good. For some reason, I remember him starting off mentioning something about the Quran, and I thought, okay, so we're going to be talking the Islamic God now, and then it was all Jesus.
Yeah, odd.
It was interesting. Not what I was expecting.
So let me see here real quick. So Sir Pika Pup says, have fun, guys. Have a good stream. Thank you, Sir Pika Pup. Thank you for popping in. Good to see you. Microraptor's in the house. Good to see you. Microraptor, thank you so much for being here. All the way from Norway, I think. Thank you very much, Microraptor. I'm pretty sure Norway. Correct me if I'm wrong. Robert Castro says, "How do Canadian hide?" Wait, how do Canadian hide? Isn't that being in? Wait, Robert Castro, you may have to restate that.
Probably wondering how we hide in public, or how does Canadian hides? How do Canadians hide? That's probably what's asking. Plural Canadians. That'd be my guess.
Okay.
That'd be my guess. Isn't that being in public? We're not all noticed that much. Although, we're delighted that South Park noticed us, and they got most of the things about us right. Where they're dead wrong is Saddam Hussein never ran parliament here. But yeah, but that's okay. We enjoyed it, and the square tires was good.
I do have one question because I'm a huge fan of How I Met Your Mother, and How I Met it's a sitcom. It was a sitcom that went for like 9 years here in the States.
Howard Mitchell. You said Howard Mitchell?
It's called How I Met Your Mother.
Okay. Oh, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Neil Patrick Harris, Allison Hannigan, number, and it was, so the show was really, really funny. And one of the characters on it, her name is Robin, and she is Canadian. So she's an immigrant from here. And another character named Barney constantly gives her shit over being Canadian. It's kind of like, Canada, why do we let you be a country? And just like he's like hardcore diehard American. And like he was like, now it's time for you to, but then there's a gag in there where one time Barney finds out that he's actually 1/4 Canadian by birth. And he's kind of like,
I'd love to tell him nobody let us become a country. We made that choice on our own.
Yeah. And so it was like, well, Barney, it's time for you to learn Canadian currency. This is a loonie. And he's like, ah. But what's funny is that there's an ongoing joke, a running gag in the show that Canadians are scared of the dark.
No.
Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No.
Okay, so whenever I have a Canadian on, I always have to ask that, see if they've ever heard of that, because they make jokes about Molson, they make jokes about Timmy's, they make all kinds. They cite everything. And of course, the whole incessant politeness. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like you bump into someone and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was in your way. Here, have a donut." Yeah,
that's quite common. Sorry about this and apologizing. It's just a common way we speak. That does happen quite a bit. And I really noticed it when there were some Americans from Texas visiting, and some others are from Utah. And it was a computer technology convention we were at, computer software. Anyway, they go up to the hotel front desk and right away barking out orders. This is what you need to do. And then the next guy, and I thought, okay, that's just them. The next group of Americans come up and do the same thing, and the next it's like they're all doing that. I'm thinking, are they all together? No, they're not, because they're going different ways, doing different things. I'm thinking, what the heck? It can't be all the Americans are like this. And I know it's not, because I've met many Americans who aren't like that. Right. But it hit me as strange, because right away I'm thinking the approach that I'm going to use, first of all, I'll say, "Oh, hi, good morning, how are you?" But no, right away, just come straight with the orders. It's like, what? It could just take a few extra seconds to be cordial, and it really makes it nicer for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nice. So Microraptor clarified. Microraptor is, I think Microraptor is from Sweden. Let me see. Wait, are you now? Okay, Bridge Device, Sweden. Okay, Norway's the next door neighbor, so I mixed the two up. Really, is there a difference? No, I'm playing Micro. She's gonna get so mad at me. Let me see here. And then of course someone said, Nimrod says, "Oh, I so want a large Timmy's and a big box of Timbits now."
Well, they're under Canadian currency, it's a real deal for Americans to come here and buy them. They have a lot more buying power than we do here. American currency is worth a lot more than Canadian currency.
I want to visit. I want to visit and get up there sometime. I haven't had the opportunity because I grew up in Southern California, and then I spent most of my life in Texas. So my influence, pretty much, it's been Hispanic culture from Mexico pretty much all my life. So going down south is one thing. I've never had the opportunity to visit Canada. I hope one day to do so. A lot of stuff I want to see. Predominantly, I want to see the areas where they shot X-Files, and because I'm a huge X-Files fan, and that's Vancouver. And of course, just Toronto is absolutely gorgeous, and they shot one of my other favorite shows up in Toronto. So I want to see it and I want to experience it because the country is just amazing in that respect. So I got to give credit for that. And not to mention some things about America here. But
if you do come up here, let me know ahead of time, and I'd love to go for a drink with you.
Fucking A, yeah, hell yes, absolutely. So now with Canadian Atheists, the ultimate goal of Canadians, as you expand, ultimately, what is kind of like where do you see it going in the future?
Well, we had actually plans for community events, and then the pandemic struck for COVID-19, so we had to put everything on hold. There's things we want to do. We want to, part of what we're doing is, I was talking a little earlier and we went off on a tangent, but so I'm glad you circled back to this. There's advocacy for atheism. What we're advocating for right now is to normalize atheism in Canadian society, and we hope this catches on more around the world. There are a number of people supporting this campaign, and you can see it in the title of my StreamYard name here. I have atheism is normal there. We're trying to say that it's normal to not believe things, and that's why atheism is normal. But what we're asking is that if you meet a theist sometimes, what will happen, and they find out you don't believe in any gods or goddesses or whatever, there's sometimes the reaction is, oh no, all this concern for your soul burning in eternity or whatever, and like it's a bad thing, or there's some kind of a problem with it, or it's just not normal. And so,
or I've run in here in the States, instead because of where I live, I've run into, they automatically think you're not a safe person, because they have this in their mind that because you're an atheist, you have no moral structure. So it's kind of like, oh, and I've actually encountered that wariness around people. It's kind of like they find, because I was just like, yeah, if people bring it up, it's like, yeah, I'm an atheist. I don't, and they're kind of like, you see that look in their eye, kind of like I might snap at any moment. And it's kind of like, okay, relax, homeboy. But yeah,
they better be very careful around babies. Now, this does happen here, but it's very rare. The majority of people aren't going that far with it here in Canada, I find. But I have heard this complaint from other people in the U.S. saying this kind of thing happens as well. And so it's no wonder that the American Atheists is using a stronger firebrand kind of approach to promote atheism. And it's necessary because it works more effectively in the culture here. We can use a more gentle approach. So what we're asking is for theists, instead of doing that, because when they encounter other theists, okay, no problem. But when they encounter atheists, for some reason, that's a problem. There's something missing in our lives, is what the point is they're trying to make.
Right.
So what we're asking with the Normalize Atheism campaign is that the theists just treat us like they do other theists. Oh, okay, that's normal, and move on your way. Because what we're not doing is we're not saying that theism is abnormal. So we're not doing anything like that. We're just saying atheism should be treated as normal as theism in the society. And we just want to be on equal footing with people and not have this stigma imposed on us. So we're using a kind of a gentle, non-confrontational approach. One of the things that we do with Canadian Atheists is we're specifically not trying to convert people, or deconvert people, I should say. This, in my view, is very important, because if a theist is pressured to deconvert, I feel that there's a greater chance of them not being happy with their decision because it wasn't wholly their own. And then there's a potential for them to reject the new community they're in, or even to go back to the religion partly reluctantly, and it doesn't bring more happiness to people. So what's better, I think, is if people arrive at this kind of decision entirely on their own, without pressure from other people to deconvert, and same for the converting, without any pressure, and then it's a more genuine decision, and it's all their own. And then that way, it is in line with encouraging their intellectual sovereignty, as I like to call it. And then it's just, you get better outcomes that way. You get people are happier with themselves, and if they're happier with themselves, it's easier for them to enjoy relationships with others and continue to grow on their own. And because they've done it themselves, it's easier for them, I think, also to continue to get along well with theists who I guess you could say they've left behind, is how some people might see it. But and I know many people who've left religions and are still getting along fine with their family and friends, and the churches even invite them to come back, but they usually don't want to go to that because they've had enough. But they'll go back from time to time. But it's good. It's important to keep our social relationships going. So the things we want to do going forward in the future is we want to start, as soon as it's safe to do so, to start organizing regular kind of monthly get-togethers and build that sense of community that a lot of people are longing for after leaving a religious organization that has a church where people go to regularly. Because this is something people like. We're naturally social creatures. Right. So we need this kind of contact. And the thing we will do is we're going to be focusing on different kinds of activities. We're not there to bash religion or anything like that. If it comes up, fine, people can talk about it. But the focus is going to be whatever the activity is, like book club, hiking in the woods, or donating blood or whatever. And I donate blood every 2 months. I encourage everybody to do that. It helps so many people if you can. Now, the other thing we want to do is start up a conference, and we have plans in place for that already, which also had to go on hold during the pandemic. But I'm sure you've heard of Faithless Forum, and American Atheists had similar conferences in the past. So those are the kinds of things we want to do. So, figuring out logistics of marketing, bringing people in, the guest speakers, and making sure they get to their hotel safely, and all this kind of stuff, and the cost for the venue, the cost for insurance. And a lot of people overlook the cost for insurance, and it can add up depending on what you need to do, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's all kinds of other things too. So we have to make sure all this stuff is organized and is going to work well. So that's these kinds of things. It's a lot of work, but it's going to be quite rewarding, I think. And I have experience in it, being involved in running large events before. So, but more behind the scenes, and it's been quite a while. So there's things that have changed. Most of it's the same, but we're looking at doing that regularly, maybe once a year or twice a year. It would be ideal if we can do that, and then people can come from all over the world to enjoy this event like they do with the others. So those are things. Community building is what I really want to try to emphasize and build on more, and try to do some kind of events that involve people in every province and territory, and occasionally also maybe open it up so that people around the world can join in these things as well. Because I think it can be really nice if we, and a positive experience for people if we orchestrate it just right and plan it properly to really do things in the right way. Yeah, and people feel more comfortable when they have a sense of community with things. I think that really helps a lot.
Definitely. See, I love that concept. It's not about telling people. Obviously, it's never about telling people that they're wrong. It's never about trying to drag
sometimes
them.
We need to do that too.
Yeah, this is true. Sometimes we do that too.
Like in today's show.
especially you flirts out there. It's but predominantly it's about giving people the tools that they, regardless of circumstance, they somehow did not receive. That the tools that they didn't get. Like I wasn't born with the tools to understand this stuff. It was a slow and oftentimes grueling process that put me at odds with people, but found me new communities to join. But ultimately, I had to do a lot of us have to do the work ourselves, because there really isn't a community that there wasn't when I was a kid. I can tell you when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, and I was, my head was swimming with these questions, and things weren't jiving anymore. It was like what I was observing was not comporting with the message I was told. And then you start asking all these questions, and you're young, and you're kind of like, the message is kind of like, we love you and we accept you, but know your place, stay in your lane. Don't lift your head up. Just, do your thing.
Don't judge. That's a big one.
Right. Yeah. And so, having that community is excellent, providing people the tools that they need in order to begin that journey. Possibly we've done this, and it's not, like I said, it's not about deconverting. It's about giving people possibly what they didn't have before, and saying, hey, here's another perspective. Look at it this way. What do you think? And getting their feedback. That's brilliant. My goal, if I would say anything I would hope to see, is an open atheist elected to public office. Now, in the States, that is, I'm hesitant to say that something is absolutely impossible, other, something, but I don't see that happening in my potentially in my lifetime. But there's work being done to where it could be where atheism could be normalized, and we can recognize that running a political office does not require a theistic ideology in order to maintain lawful structure over a given area, or even if it's the nation itself. I would like to see any atheist into any public office elected in the open. Like, I am an atheist. This is like this, and then they get elected based on their platform alone. I hope to see that one day.
Well, remember, there was a time when people thought there would never be a black president, and things are improving. Definitely. So there's the more diversity you have in your political makeup, the better off the whole country is, I think.
Absolutely. All right. So here, real quick, I think let's go back and check with the chat real quick. They've been chatting about a couple of things. Robert Castle asked, "Are theists trying to put the Bible in public school in Canada?"
There is a bit of that going on, but it's not really a strong effort from what I can see. What usually happens is these private schools will get set up. They'll get affiliated with a religion, and then, of course, that'll be part of it. And a lot of the churches here, most of that stuff happens in kind of Sunday school where they do all that sort of thing, and people do it at their homes. The culture here doesn't really seem to have a strong push for putting Bibles into schools.
Gotcha. Well, as here in the States, we're still having an argument about, we're still having the situation where some theistic or evangelical groups are trying to get, creationism taught in schools.
There are some people who want it. There are some people who want it.
2022 was still dealing with that.
But they don't have loud voices here. They don't get the traction. Yeah.
It's because, unfortunately, we have Kirk Cameron. And as dreamy as he is, he is a pain in the ass. So, and the George says, "Yo, hey, sexy party people, good to see you." And the George said, and the George said also said, "Atheism rocks." No, Aaron, I didn't say atheist rocks. So I love Aaron Raw. He's absolutely amazing.
What do you think of him making that statement on Twitter that all rocks are atheists?
Okay, so I lived in Texas, not 20 minutes, it's like not 20 minutes from Aaron Raw. So I was.
Oh, you can knock on his door and ask him.
And he is when he gets into the zone, he can get really hyperbolic, and so I get what he was trying to convey. Yeah, it's very tongue in cheek, and so he's just kind of like, I think when it's like when you see him interact with Eric Hovind in that one video, where they're going back and forth at the Ark experience, and like Eric Hovind is going like this, and you finally see Aaron just snap. You don't learn taxonomy. He's like, my God, what is wrong with you? It's like this is, and so because he's feeling stuff from all angles. But I love Aaron Raw. I love his snark. I love because he's put the decades in to get where he's at, and I really, really enjoy. Just especially when the way he dissects stuff when he loses his patience is always hysterical, and I absolutely adore it. Especially when he's got that big ass Stein looking like a Klingon warrior. It's just absolutely hilarious. I love the dude.
Quite a few years ago, he and his wife came to visit the BC Humanists here in Canada, in BC,
really cool,
and in Vancouver area. So I got to meet him. And I go there, I have a cowboy hat. And so I went there dressed up with my boots and big belt buckle and cowboy hat and walked into the restaurant. And he looked up and he was a little surprised to see a cowboy walking in. I took my hat off right away. But then I gave him a ride back to his hotel, he and his wife in my Suburban. So I had a chance to have a nice chat with him. Real nice guy. Tell you, he and his wife, just wonderful, lovely people. So... Yep. When he talked about, when he put that Twitter posting up, rocks are atheists, like implicitly, I guess you could say that rocks don't believe in any deities.
Right.
It's factually true. You can't disagree with that point. So he is correct. But when I'm talking about atheists and atheism, and most of the people I encounter, it's the same. We're talking about people. We're in the context of people, right? Because we're people. So...
Yeah. Now, something that's interesting, because the vast majority of the people, and Second Best Bob would like everyone to know he's looking for a religion. Any ideas, any suggestions for a religion for Second Best Bob to follow?
Do look into Randism. which is the actual name for Satanism. And there's 7 tenets. It reads like a human rights document.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up, because in previous stages before, people would be like, well, just follow the 10 commandments. It's like, why not just follow the 7 tenets?
Yeah.
It's like, what are the 7 tenets? It's like the 7 tenets of Satanism. It's listed on the website of the Satanic Temple. And it was like, no way, this is not possible. It was like, let's walk through them, shall we? And it reads like a universal human rights document, like something like Cyrus the Great would have come up with.
Let's go through it right now. I've got it up on my screen.
Yeah, Leo. Okay, so people familiar with the 10 Commandments, and before we jump into that one, so I'm going to put this in my search history.
I've got it on my screen. I'll just read it out. The 7 tenets are: 1. The first one is: 1 should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. Okay, this does not sound like animal sacrifices to me. This sounds pretty nice. Number 2.
Let's look at this, because I want to juxtapose this. So if we go by the 10 Commandments.
Okay. Yeah, you take care of the 10 Commandments, and I'll take care of this.
Okay, so the 10 Commandments in and of itself. All right, so
the first commandment is...
thou, I am the Lord thy God, no other gods before me.
So narcissism versus treating others with compassion. Okay. And empathy. This is not going to compare well.
At all.
Okay, so the second tenet of Randism or Satanism is: the struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. So basically, think about and debate and challenge these laws and whatnot that you have in society, so you can make things better, I guess. So this, again, sounds very progressive. Mm-hmm. And I think it's right. The third one is: one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. Yeah, bodily autonomy. Okay, that sounds fantastic, which is, the way it should be. You go ahead. Some commandments.
So the 10 commandments. So the first one was, I am the Lord your God, shall not have any other gods before me. The second one, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. So that's another one that's referring to himself. So
don't be like the people in Quebec. When they start talking angrily about the church or God, that's worse than swearing. This is a real thing here in Canada.
And the third one,
but only in Quebec.
And the third one, another self-referential, was remember to keep holy the Lord's day. So how to talk about me, my personal day, and no other gods before me. So all 3 referring to the relationship with God, or how God declares human beings should have their relationship with Him. Okay, so all 3 narcissistic.
Very self-centered. You want to try the fourth one? Maybe it's better.
Oh, the fourth one, yeah. Honor your father and mother.
Okay, that sounds reasonable, unless your parents were abusive. But I think they're not counting on that. So
right.
All right. Well, what's the fifth one?
Fifth one, fifth one, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
Or thou shalt not commit murder, depending upon...
Well, see, I debated a guy who ended up taking his pants off at the end of the debate. I'm not kidding. He was wearing nothing below the waist, apparently. I didn't go and look. But anyway, the debate went pretty good, I thought. And when he came to thou shalt not kill, he insisted it means murder. But in the earlier Hebrew versions of it, apparently it is the word kill, and the word murder is used somewhere else. And so this is a hard one. There's a lot of contentious debate about this, but thou shalt not murder is not the King James. I can tell you that.
Okay, so to make sure I got these right. All right, because there's like so many different versions. So
yeah.
Thou shalt not have, okay, so I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's number 1. Number 2, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Number 3, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Okay. Number 4, keep the Sabbath day. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So that's the first 4.
Right, I disagree with that one. Yeah.
And then, of course, number 5, honor thy father and mother. Number 6, thou shalt not kill. And we discussed in that one. And then, of course, number 7, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Well, there are times when people's marriages don't work well, or they're an open marriage. Does that qualify as adultery? There's, it's situational ethics don't work very well in contrast with the Ten Commandments.
And in my eyes, another form of behavioral control is
exactly.
because
That's the crux of it.
And the George says, but sex is fun.
Yes, it is. If you're doing it properly.
And then, of course, thou shalt not commit adultery. Then thou shalt not steal. Also situationally problematic.
Yeah, I want to steal something back that someone stole from me.
Or in a desperate situation, given a government situation or an economic crisis, stealing to feed my children.
Yeah, Les Miserables. Okay.
And then thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not lie.
Yeah, but there are times when you need to do that. Again, situational. You may be in a situation where somebody's asking you a question with a gun to your head, although I don't think that happens very often, but there could be some kind of a threatening situation. So you need to be deceptive. You need to lie. You need to make it look like you're not an attractive target if you're in a dangerous neighborhood, all kinds of things.
How about here in the States, in this capitalistic society we have, telling your job, basically how much you love your job? Because, how often can somebody literally say to themselves, I absolutely love the work I do. I love going, going in 9 to 5 and sitting in my cubicle. It is so fulfilling. I love my boss.
I think if an employer needs to ask that question of their employees, then they really need to take a good hard look at how they're running their company, because that's the red flag right there. Yeah.
And then, of course,
they are the red flag.
The last one, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's whatever. Right. Thou shalt not covet. But of course, all I can say is this kind of America was founded on keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. And if you take it to the extreme, thou shalt not covet, then you're getting rid of all your desires. And what goals do you want to set in life if there's things you don't have that you want to have? This is human nature. We're often wanting more than what we have. This is just a normal thing. The problem is if it gets out of control and it becomes an obsession, right?
The lack of regulation.
Yeah, so, moderation is important.
And the George says, but sex with my neighbor's wife is fun. Okay, so we've been through the 10 Commandments. And
did the first 3 of the tenets.
The 7.
So I'll get the other 4 tenets if you like. Okay. So number 4 is the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego your own. So it's very interesting. They're definitely pro freedom of expression, and I like that a lot. I'm pro freedom. Number 5, beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs. Okay, a specific kind of deception that they are opposed to. This one makes sense.
Absolutely. And I would say creationists, in my assessment, in the conversations I've had, creationists are, especially young Earth creationists, are the worst at this, because they will misrepresent things like punctuated equilibrium, or they will misrepresent Mary Schweitzer's work, the continued work of Gould and Eldredge. They will, or the statements made by Craig Venter. They will take these and twist them to justify their narrative, and it's exactly what they're talking about, because they spread that. And
from the other perspective, they'll misrepresent people like Andrew Wakefield in the anti-vax movement.
Oh.
And they'll say he is what he isn't. A good person who doesn't lie. But while he admitted to the court that his whole study was a farce and that vaccines don't actually cause autism, and yet the anti-vaxxer apologists are claiming that he was coerced into that. So if it happens their way, it's great. And if it suddenly turns like, oops, this was you were shammed. No, it's conspiracy theory, because it's quite selective.
Because this is concerning God, and it can't possibly be wrong.
So all those anti-vaxxers are violating the fifth tenet of Satanism. Congratulations, anti-vaxxers! You terrible, terrible thing to do. I love saying that kind of stuff. I love ragging on those anti-vaxxers. They're terrible. Number 6, people are fallible. Yeah, and this isn't meant as a put down. This is just I had a sign on the front of my desk when I did IT work. It came from Mad Magazine. It said, "Everybody makes mistakes." And half the people who came to my desk didn't notice the error, and the other half who did laughed and said, "Oh, okay, this is great." So they appreciated it. Either way, I was giving helpful support, and people felt at ease when they saw that sign, whether they caught the error or not. But the point that they make there is, if we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. So here's a good social attitude that bodes well for developing a really high-quality society.
Right.
Number 7, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. And then they go on. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. So these seem to me very reasonable. They're not edicts. It says right in the final tenet, this is just a guiding principles. So they're not even being imposing.
And I like that it allows that built within the tenets in that final one, it allows for the expansion of ideas, that ultimately we can add to things, we can situationally apply things in a different way, we can adjust as necessary, because not all situations are equal and not all demands are equal. And so it recognizes this. It recognizes that it's not, there's change, there's variability. So the idea is, if you dogmatically hold to them, if you rigidly hold to them, you're going to find yourself at odds at a certain point. You should be able to, I would say, like Bruce Lee, like be like water, adjust as necessary, add to it, really, really reflect on these things. Maybe you can improve them. And I like that idea that it's built into that.
You're a fan of the great atheist philosopher, Bruce Lee. So, now, what's interesting is if people could ask themselves a question, if they think that a society founded on the 10 Commandments of Christianity versus a society built on the 7 tenets of Satanism, which one is going to be the one that they would prefer to live in?
I think that if you just pose like, here's the 10 and here's the 7, and you don't give them any context.
Yeah,
I'm gonna predict they will choose the 7 every time. It's like, wow, that's really, it's not like it's kind of like, it accepts everybody. Everybody's valid, but it doesn't necessarily say that everybody. It makes allowances for us being human, which is really, really important. And it's open, it's open for expansion, open for, it recognizes the expansion of thought. These seem so rigid, there's no context, there's no situational explanation there.
Yeah.
And of course they'll look at that, but then you say, okay, well, that's the 7 tenets of Satanism there. And it's kind of like, I've told people that, would be like, and then I'll read it to them, and then they get, if I present it, 10 Commandments or the 7 tenets of Satanism, those 10 Commandments all the way. Wave their flag. Then I read them out, and they're kind of like, or I link them to them, and all of a sudden they don't want to say anything.
That's what Ray Comfort would probably very likely react to, favoring the 10 Commandments. And the only reason I mention Ray Comfort here is because Robert Caslow in the chat asked, "Ray Comfort, anyone?" I thought, okay, I got to make mention of this.
Hey, no, it's I actually, my latest created video was about Ray Comfort.
Oh, okay.
I addressed him because he put out this video about how the new okay, so there's a new Alebrije, Zapotecan style Alebrije statue outside of the UN, which is it's a symbol it's a guardian. The symbol is a guardian of peace and safety. And it was donated by the Jacobo Maria Angelis workshop in Oaxaca, where creating Zapotecan, which are like highly, very, very colorful Alebrijes, which are fantastical creatures. And they make these figures and they sell them. It's like a major cultural drive in Oaxaca. So, because that's where the Zapoteca people originated from, was that state. So they donated this thing, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's this giant, it's like this jaguar because they're fantastical creatures. So it's like a combination of jaguar, snake, and eagle. And it's got like the kind of like serpentine tail, and it's a big ass jaguar, and it's got these huge giant wings. and it has its whole like backstory and everything, and it's really cool, and it fits back in with Mesoamerican mythology and how the jaguar was a symbol of strength and protection and all this cool stuff.
Okay.
Ray Comfort comes out and says, "Look at this ugly thing. It is obviously the beast from Daniel, and the beast, and by extension, the beast from Revelation. It has a body." Go ahead.
It sounds like Ray Comfort needed to do research again, just like when he did the little spiel about the banana, and
Yes.
and then God created, and then it turns out that one is genetically modified to get to it. So he moved on to apples, right?
Are you kidding me?
No, there's a video of him where he does the talk about apples. I can share it if you want. It's very short, and he does basically almost the same spiel, but then it's all the same arguments on an apple. And then what I read somewhere, somebody looked into the type of apple he had. Turns out it's also genetically modified. Didn't grow. People are hoping he's going to go for coconuts next. Let me see if I can find this here for you real quick. It's a short video. It's funny if you want to share it with everyone. Comfort.
I know you haven't seen it, so I do want to show it to you because this thing is really cool. And I made this video. You sent it to me via. Let me see.
Yeah, I just shared it. So if you want to play this, entertain the audience for a minute while you look for what you're going to look for, that'll be good.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yes, let's just take a look at this.
Notice the apple. There are 10,000 different varieties of apple, all the same shape. Close side, large groove for the human thumb. Far side, smaller groove made for the forefinger. Close side has a stalk which is flexible so it won't go out your thumbnail. Far side has a pad so when the apple turns, it doesn't wear out your finger. Now with the apple, you may eat the wrapper. Inside is this chewy, palatable substance which cleans the teeth. Apparently one of these a day keeps the doctor away. And when you get to the core of the substance, so you won't get depressed, what has God done? He's placed these little seeds, and when you put them in the dirt, you get more apples.
That's a golden apple right there, that video.
I don't know what's funnier, what he's saying or the conviction he says it with.
I tell you, I just have so much fun watching that guy do this crazy stuff. I wish he would cover every fruit out there and then maybe move on to vegetables. He could put up a whole series and people would probably buy it for their collections.
Don't you see?
A lot of money.
Don't you see? The star fruit is evidence of God's creation. It's given us a sample of a star, like the stars in the sky. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Sean Alexander, for 10 freedom dollars. Ray Comfort did terrible things to that banana. I heard it's still in therapy.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, Sean Alexander. I do want to show you this. I think this is really cool. So I'm going to share
I'll
my
send you the
screen.
video later so you have a copy of that one.
Oh, please. Thank you. So let me see. I'm going to share this over so you can see it. So these are what are called alebrijes. And you can tell, like, there's a chicken thing and a bunch of different animals.
Look at the beautiful colors. This is really, really nice.
Oh, they're absolutely gorgeous. And down in Oaxaca, because the exchange rates like this, they usually sell these things for like $1 a piece. These things are hand carved, hand painted.
I've seen them at people's homes once in a while. They have them up on a shelf in a nice spot, and it's kind of nice decoration. Yeah.
And here's another one, and let me go here. And I know people because I plan to go down to Oaxaca. The research I did on this video was so much fun. I am in love with San Martin Tilcajete, Tilcajete, which is the town. Okay, go ahead.
This would be great for like a movie poster for some kind of adventure movie. Like almost has me thinking back to the Never-Ending Story I watched when I was a kid.
These things are so
beautiful.
Cool. And I want to go down there and I want to get some. There's some really neat stuff.
Yeah, this is lovely. It's just so lovely.
And so what got donated, and these are really cool, and I will show it. Okay, so originally there were 2 guardians that were created and sent to Rockefeller Plaza for the Dia de los Muertos festival for Mexico Week. And so they sent these things down there, and they're just stunning. Well, they then donated one of the guardians, the winged jaguar. They donated it to the United Nations to their visitors plaza. So it's up there with nonviolence and swords to plowshares and all, and St. George and the Dragon. So this bad boy. Oh, and I gotta jump on these super chats real quick. Second best Bob for £2 is our super chats working. I sent one earlier too. I did not see it. I apologize, Second best Bob. If I missed that, my bad. And Atheist Mando for $5 freedom says, I probably hold the most opposed against political stance. I'm open to discussion on it, but not sure if that would be all right with you. I will discuss politics. I will. But I'm left of center, but I don't really support any party because both of them are right on some things and wrong on a lot of other things. So I'm kind of variable when it comes down to it. And let's see. So this is what I want to show you. So this is, give me 2 seconds. I've got the image. I had to go to my, I
know you got to find it. No worries. Yeah.
Make sure okay. So
live chat supporting our friend here. This is fantastic. Yeah.
And this
first name
is what got donated.
Wow. Look at that.
And
look at the expression on the face. Like, this is really well done.
It's gorgeous.
This is a beautiful piece of art. It is, and it looks like it's been perfected. Somebody put a lot of time and care and love into building this.
If I could find a small version of this, I really, really would. I absolutely love this one. I love this one, but there's a counterpart, and this is the one that Ray said was the beast from Revelation.
I find the green color a little dark, but that's okay. It's fine. It still looks wonderful.
So the counterpart,
just be the lighting of the picture, the camera too.
And probably because this one's a little bit better lit because this one was taken, I think, a little bit earlier in the day when it was still in Rockefeller. And
okay.
And this was the one you just saw with its counterpart.
Wow.
And I absolutely adore that one. I got a big thing for dragons, so I really like that one.
The patterns and the colors, it really makes it look great.
So yeah, that art style is Zapotecan. And then, of course, the figure style, the fantastic creatures, the Alebrije, which was invented by Pablo Linares in 1936. So it was just a style himself, and this is really, really cool. So where did the idea for these come from? This is a cool story, and I love sharing this. When I learned it, that's why I love learning, and I love this kind of stuff. Pablo Linares was a Mexico City artist, and he worked in paper mache. So essentially, he made paper mache skeletons and skulls for Dia de los Muertos, and he was one of the best. So people always went to him with their commissions. Anyway, he got sick in 1936, and it was this awful, awful fever. And he had a fever dream where he woke up where apparently in the dream he wakes up, and he's in this fantastical, multicolored, like you saw, a multicolored like place, and there are fantastical creatures all around him. And they're all shouting, Alebrije, Alebrije, Alebrije. That's all they're shouting. And then he woke up from the dream. And that's where that came from.
Oh, okay.
So he not only invented the style, the art style, like the actual craft, the name Alebrije, he coined that. So he invented a word to go along with these. And I love the story there. Just the idea that it came out of that. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's the one. And of course, I got to share this one because I know you're going to get an absolute kick out of this.
Okay.
Now, since I have it open, I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that before. No. Take it off the screen. I don't want that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's so the last video I did was addressing Ray Comfort, saying, ignorantly calling this beautiful piece that is an art style that he's not familiar with, the I guess like the beast from Revelation, and saying like it has the body of a lion and or it's like the body of a lion and the claws of a bear, and I'm like, the Oaxacans, the Zapoteca didn't have lions, they had jaguar, they had jaguars. They didn't have leopards, they had jaguars. They didn't have, or it was like the body of a leopard, the head of a lion, and the claws of a bear, and the wings of an eagle. Well, eagles are ubiquitous. They're across the board. It can't be a bear because the Oaxacans never saw a bear. Bears didn't exist there. The nearest bear to them was down in the Andes in South America, and they were in southern Mexico. So it wasn't a bear. It obviously was a jaguar. That's what it was. And he says, "Oh, and it's the head of a lion."
Let's take a look at this. Yeah.
You said what?
You were going to show the picture of this jaguar, or that was something else. Sorry,
that was the picture I just showed you. And so what?
I missed the picture. I was uploading something to you in Discord, so I missed it.
The winged guy from the UN.
The last picture, I didn't see it. Not the picture of the dog, but there was like a third picture, right?
Oh no, I didn't show one.
Oh, there's only two pictures. Okay, so I saw them both. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. I thought I missed it. I apologize.
He was ignoring the fact that he was saying that the picture looks like this, like it has like the claws of a bear. Well, that's not possible. Bears existed where there were bears that the Middle Easterns were familiar with, but there were no bears in Latin America that the Oaxacans encountered. So he's using the imagery to just fit his narrative, and it's absolutely dishonest and needed to be exposed. Not to mention, he said some really insulting stuff about the Oaxacans and the Mesoamericans. That's just kind of like disgusting.
Sounds like he's either uninformed or he perceives them as a threat.
Right.
Or both in that case.
So one other thing that I wanted, and I'm glad that you reminded me in the private chat. One thing I want to bring up is that we have a lot of people in the live chat. Clive Wells says, "Yeah, I tune out Jail's boring bits too." Thanks, Clive. Love you so much.
Why don't you just chalk it up to loyalty and move on?
I love Clive Wells, Dr. Clive Wells. I have to give him his credentials. Dr. Clive Wells, PhD in theoretical physics, has helped me in so many things. The resources that I've been able to, it's really great stuff.
That's great. Yeah.
So, a lot of people in the chat were former theists, and they deconverted. And so I still have some theists that follow the channel. But you and I myself am a deconverted theist. I was born and raised and confirmed in the Methodist Church. But you were always an atheist.
That's right. I've never believed in any deities. My parents were. They decided they don't want to bring religion into the children's lives. They want their children to grow up and decide for themselves. And so I think I was extremely fortunate with that. My dad's a skeptic, so he taught critical thinking. He didn't overdo it. He just taught the basics of it. But he has a background in studying psychology in university and all that. And so my parents were really good about this kind of thing, and grew up with good virtues and things like that. But none of it was credited to any god or anything like that. So what I don't have in common with a lot of atheists is, there's many atheists like me out there, but there seem to be a lot more who've left a religion. It's what I find. And so what I don't have is that experience of having left a religion, because I've never been part of one. And I don't intend to join one just to get such an experience, because from what I've heard, it's not an easy thing for a lot of people to do. Some people it's easy. For many people, though, it's not. And one of my buddies, he's a good friend of mine. He's Neil the 604 Atheist. And if you haven't been on his stream, I can introduce you and you can get on there and talk about your deconversion. He'd be happy. That's all he does. He interviews people about their deconversion stories. And
awesome. Yeah. To
me, and he's great at it. He's a fantastic host, and people just find it so easy to talk with him. He's just he presents everything so well, and he gets gets people to talk about what they remember was the strongest or most difficult parts of it. And what I get from that, like what he's showing, is that by having these 300 plus videos now, he's really showing the world that, this is a normal thing to do, to leave a religion, because there's a lot of people doing it. So this is helpful, as I understand, to some theists who are on the fence or may haven't considered it before, and then they see all these different stories and something will resonate with them if they look into enough of them, and then they start questioning it themselves, and some of them end up genuinely on their own making their own decision to move out. Nobody's pressuring them, is what I hope. What I've learned from this series is, from my perspective of somebody who hasn't deconverted, is that, and I didn't know this until recently, and it's been a very helpful thing to know, because it gives me a better perspective of what's going on. I feel is some theists, some people, when they leave a religion, it's an all or nothing proposition. It's all gone. That's it. No problem. It's like quitting smoking cold turkey. They just do it. It doesn't affect them. And there's no withdrawal symptoms or anything. But that's not so common. What seems to be more common is when somebody leaves, they may stop believing in their God, but they still fear burning in hell for eternity.
Right. That's hard. That one's tough.
It took me a bit to understand that people actually had this, because to me, hell is a deity dependent concept. So if the deity's gone, the rest should just follow suit and be gone automatically. But that's not how the human mind works. So people have to, and everybody's different. It's different things for each person. So it's a process, right? And people just mostly have to kind of get through it at their own pace for each thing. And this gave me a lot of insight that I didn't have before. So I really appreciate what Neil does with his deconversion stories.
Awesome.
Because I think it's helping a lot of people, even people who haven't deconverted, because we've always been atheists. It gives us extra perspective as well. So this is a wonderful thing. That's why I like to promote it.
And actually, yeah, I would love to. I would love to share that with others.
I'll introduce you guys. I'll get you introduced. Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Now, here's an interesting question, and I'm glad that Robert Caslow asked this. Robert Caslow asked, how do churches deal with deconversion in Canada? And before you answer, I'm glad he asked this because on a previous live stream, I talked about a company called it's a company called Glue. Let me see. I have it right here. I want to make sure I get their name right. So it's a company called Glue, GLOO.
Okay.
What Glue is here in the States is a big data, or basically is a data skimming company that utilizes algorithms to basically scan social media, and it pulls from big data as well, so it can help churches target people that may be more susceptible to their message.
Wow.
So it's a company that specializes in scraping big data, looking for keywords, to say like, oh, and then a church can sign up for a subscription service, and they will be fed data as to who to target.
We need to troll them.
Right. And so that's here in the States. By extent, I don't know what it's like in Canada. If you've run into anything like that or heard anything like that.
It varies from church to church. I'm not aware of anything like that here in Canada, but it wouldn't surprise me if that organization spread out to Canada, or there's something like it here. Because there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and some of them are just doing it to make the money, and the others do it because they're genuinely concerned and they want to bring people back. And it's really hard to know what people's motives are. Some churches will try to make it very difficult for people when they leave, because they'll try to keep their family isolated from them and stuff. We don't see or hear too much of that here. Most of the time, they're just kind of okay with it. Like in 1983, we introduced to our legislation, to our constitution at the national constitutional level, something called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was based on the Bill of Rights from before, which I think came about in the 60s, but I'm not quite sure on that one. But our charter came in 1983, and then our last racially segregated school, which was in Nova Scotia, coincidentally got shut down in that year. I guess the school district decided that they don't want to have a constitutional challenge. So I'd like to think that the decision was because they understood that racism was wrong, but I don't know if that's the case. I would hope that's it, but I can't help but think that with the timing that there's a good possibility that it could be because the legal issues. Nonetheless, the end result, the outcome is good. We got rid of racial segregation in the school system on that year. So the charter specifically protects under Section 2 a variety of freedoms are all listed there, like freedom of expression, which you call freedom of speech in the U.S. But I know your Supreme Courts have clarified that means freedom of expression, and freedom of association, and freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, and on it goes, freedom of opinion.
Freedom of assembly.
Yeah, freedom of assembly. All these things are in there, yes. Awesome. So there's So there's freedom of religion, freedom of association, freedom of assembly. So with these, I think most of the churches probably understand that this is the law. People here have the right to move on. You can't control them. And so for the most part, it's not too bad. But there are pressure tactics that individual members will put forward, or you'll see that isolation happen anyway in certain cases. So I do know of people who've left their religions and their whole family won't talk to them. And some have even taken them out of the wills and stuff like that. And it's these are typically the evangelical ones, but there's others where it's happened as well. But for the most part, it's not really a big contentious thing here when someone leaves the church. And, the church, of course, they make money from the collection plates and stuff like that and other efforts. But I think where would be a bigger issue is where they're depending on teething like the Church of Mormon does. And so because that's actually quite a lot of income for them. Right. So that's where the pressure is stronger. But yeah, it's not, as far as I know, it hasn't really been too big of a deal. The churches that do go too far with it usually find themselves in legal trouble eventually and end up having to straighten up. And so I think that's why a lot of them aren't really aggressive here on that.
That's excellent. That's good. I agree with that. I like that. I like that a lot.
But I could be wrong. There could be some cases I'm missing. So
Colorado Biker says, if you deconvert from the church in Canada, you will be covered in maple syrup, Tim Hortons donuts, and locked in a pickup truck with 3 stoned Wolverines.
Now, are these Wolverines in the military sense or the wild animal sense? Because there are people here who probably would enjoy something like that. We have pride parades where some of that stuff goes on display in public, and it's a great place to bring your young children because they can learn a lot.
I really
there are people bring their children to this kind of thing. We brought up, and the kids will see what interests them. They don't see all the crazy stuff. They see, oh, there's somebody dressed up as a cat. Well, this is a BDSM cat suit, but where the woman's really dressed up and moving around like a cat when she came and gave our kid a little fuzzy kind of foam ball, that just stress ball thing, right? Nice. And so she gave her that one. She didn't give her the genitalia shaped ones. Those are for the adults. And our daughter was probably like 6 years old or 5 years old at the time. And like, this is the first time we went to the Pride Parade, and it's like, she saw a cat. She didn't see naked people or talk about any of that. What she saw was the cat, and that's what she thought was really cool. The cat gave her this ball.
Nice.
So that taught us that, the kids are going to see what interests them, and they're going to miss everything else. And that's typical.
And I will say, as a member of the LGBTQ community myself, because I myself am bisexual.
Okay. I'm straight.
I'm saying the recent passing of the ban of that law that banning conversion therapy in Canada, was landmark to me. It's like, that is incredible. That's amazing, and it's something that I hope that we see here in America, because you oftentimes here in the States, you can see arguments coming on the horizon. He's like, because someone's going to make a stink, and this one, the idea of conversion therapy and how damaging it is. It's on the horizon. It's going to come up. Just like, we saw a gay marriage one coming up. We saw this, coming along, and this is going to be one that comes up. And obviously we're going to stop it because it's horrific. It's psychologically damaging. And even the people who were proponents of it back in the 80s have come out and said it's bullshit. It doesn't work. And it does way more harm than any good. So
and I'm actually really happy about that law because even though we have under our charter, under Section 12, where everyone has the right to not be subjected to any cruel or unusual treatment or punishment. This would already cover it. But the problem is when people are arguing against conversion therapy programs, they have to go and draw the connection, connect all the dots, and it's a lot of work. Now with this legislation, it's just direct, hey, this is a violation of the law, it's got to go. And it's much, much easier now for the courts to deal with it. So this is a huge improvement. It was already illegal in Canada, but it was hard to enforce. And now the thing that the charter doesn't do is it doesn't say you can't take people outside of the border to go get conversion therapy elsewhere. The new law says you can't go and take them outside to get the conversion therapy from, say, down in the US or somewhere else. It's quite specific. It's really very good. It's got sharp teeth.
That's
this law,
fantastic.
and I'm
That's
just
great.
really happy with that, because now people won't be subjected to it. And if anybody is, and they get caught, wow, they're in some major serious trouble.
That's good. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's strong. It's not just banning it here; it's banning it, and it's also banishing the advertising of conversion therapy. And the way our laws are written is like, if it's done in a way that you can advertise it even if you're not offering the service, it's still illegal to advertise it. It doesn't matter whether you actually are providing the service or not. So it's written in those kinds of ways, and we do this with our false advertising laws too. And like child pornography, for example, if you were to advertise it, even though you didn't have it, you would still be doing something illegal.
Oversight. I like that.
It's reasonable oversight, and our charter supports that. We have all our freedoms, and then there's a section that says for certain things that are considered reasonable under the law, reasonable society is a valid exemption. And this definitely, the conversion therapy is definitely a valid exemption to the freedom kind of clauses, and it's consistent with the way the judges interpret the charter rights and things like that too. So it all fits. So it's a really good addition to our system.
Dig it. And the George says, question for the guest: as a non-deconverted atheist, did you find others' belief in God silly while growing up? I remember upon leaving noticing how silly many of the beliefs were. Did you run into something similar?
No, I don't think that others are silly for believing it, because I think there are, in many cases, scenarios where people actually have really good reasons for believing. One is that they felt that they were convinced by Pascal's Gambit, and perhaps that was enough for them, and it's a matter of maybe they needed more critical thinking skills. They didn't have sufficient critical thinking skills to critique it, and so they did make a really good effort, and then they were convinced by it. So I don't consider that irrational or silly, but I do think some of the ideas and the traditions can be quite silly.
Right. Oh, and guess who's in the
chat? When I was a kid growing up, I didn't really think that. No, I didn't. I just didn't really have much of an opinion on.
Because you weren't taught to judge in that capacity, because that level of judgment is something that is taught to kids.
I was taught to judge things, and to accept that I'm going to judge things, but I wasn't taught to conclude that they were silly or
to judge appropriately,
to come up with my own conclusion for it. Right. And then also, if I do have a conclusion like it's silly or something, then to be able to explain why I think it's silly.
And I wanted to decide that because oftentimes it was brought up by Nimrod that children know how to love, but hate is something that is taught.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately. I agree with that. And so, by the way, we have been graced with his presence. Otangelo is in the chat. Apparently somebody said Otangelo 3 times and sacrificed a mitochondria, and he showed up, because that's what he does.
Well, just be glad they didn't say Biggie Smalls 3 times, because that could turn into gunshot. That's a South Park reference. I managed to get a South Park reference in, finally.
Awesome. Let's see. What did he say on YouTube? Former atheist convinced of afterlife due to near-death experience. Benno Penicidi, Switzerland in English. Okay, I don't even need to address that. Yes, a person can be convinced that there is a God. It doesn't necessarily mean that the reasons are good. People can be convinced of wrong things or bad things all the time. Wars have been fought over this.
People used to think that the planet Earth was at the center of the solar system, and there was pretty well consensus on it. And anybody who thought otherwise was a heretic. We know the history there.
Yeah. All right. So,
I'm running out of time here. I'm going to have to get going pretty soon here.
Not a problem. Yeah, very cool. And if you do want to listen in, I'm going to be going over some other stuff.
Did you want to ask me anything else before I head it off? I'll be happy to come back again.
Yeah, I was scrolling through to see if there was any other questions from the chat for you. I'm not seeing anything because Otangelo came in, so everybody's just jumping on Otangelo. Don't forget, everyone in the chat, if you are a channel member, be sure to give Otangelo his emoji greeting, the one I created just for him. So they because he loves that one. It's the Cry Tangelo emoji. God, I
Oh,
love that.
boy.
That was the best emoji I ever made. All right. Well, I think that's good to go. If you do have to go, I think we're at a good stopping place. This has been fantastic, dude.
Thank you very much. I feel honored to get a chance to be on your stream with you. This is really nice. And I'm wondering, on that microphone there, is that a miniature model of the Australian drop bear?
Oh, well, okay. So he's a drop bear if he's over here.
Oh, okay.
And so, but he's a regular koala if he's on this side.
Okay.
So this was actually sent to me by YouTuber Irish Demon.
Okay. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so Irish Demon, PhD Tony, Johnny O from the Plot Hole, and myself, we were the four beardsmen of the apocalypse. And so every Sunday we did a show where we were talking about various things because we all kind of have our specialties. And so Irish sent me a care package, and you can't really see it, but I have a boomerang, an authentic boomerang up there on the wall. And then he sent me a legitimate Outback, like the Outback hat. He sent me that, and then he sent me this little guy, which is one of my favorites. And he also sent me a bunch of Vegemite. Why would he do that?
I hear that's a popular treat. So,
but I love this little guy. But definitely, we are definitely going to do this again in the future. Absolutely. Okay. I cannot wait to do more Discord stages. I hope everybody out there gets a chance to join us. You will find those links. I'll make sure that there are links in the description for the politics Discord server, so that when we do those, you guys can join us and listen in and maybe ask questions that you yourself have. Before you go, anything particularly you want to plug real quick that you got for us, Randolph?
I'll give you a few websites. There's the Canadian Atheists at www.canadianatheists.ca. Canadian Atheists also has a Discord at discord.canadianatheists.ca. That'll take you to the invite. And then my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. And remember, Randolph ends with an F, not a PH, no matter what autocorrect tells you. You can also reach me on Twitter at twitter.com/Randolph828. Thank you very much. I enjoyed this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person someday should you ever come up to the greater Vancouver area of BC here in Canada.
Absolutely. I totally look forward to it. And I linked Randolph's YouTube channel there in the chat. So if you want to check out his videos, you want to go over there and subscribe, I recommend it. And of course, you will get notifications when we do those Discord stages. You'll get those notifications via his channel. So fantastic. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Randall, for making time to come off and hang out with me. This was a blast. And
I apologize for the missing audio at the beginning of the stream. We were sorting out technical problems because they had trouble getting the Discord stage set up on time. And because normally we want to set those up early so we get those problems sorted out beforehand. And but I will be adding a timestamp in the description later today, hopefully, that will take you straight to where the audio starts. Awesome. So, yeah. Fantastic. All right, sir. Well, you have a great one up there. Thank you. And likewise. How is the weather in Texas? Are you getting any more snow? Actually, well, I'm up here in Oklahoma. So I lived in Texas. I moved up here to Oklahoma. It's kind of the same. It's pretty much the same, but it's cold. We have lots of wind. It's very, very windy. You've heard the song Oklahoma where the wind. Yeah. It's windy all the time. And that's what makes it cold. But I think it got down to 3 yesterday. Okay. Well, 3 last night is where it was at. And then, of course, just the wind blows all day. So, but it's just like Texas, it's bipolar as fuck because it will be like dead ass winter. The bird bath is frozen. Everything is shut down. Wow. And then the very next day, it's like 60 degrees. It's like, but I'm used to it. It's that's nuts. Insane. Welcome to the plains. Well, thanks very much. And cheers to you and your audience. Thank you, sir. Everyone. Take care. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right. A huge, giant thank you to Randolph Richardson. That was an absolute blast. I'm so glad I was able to have him on the show. We had an amazing experience on Discord today. It was a lot of fantastic conversations we had. Yes, Robert Caslow, you're correct. Oklahoma is Texas 2.0. But yeah, what is going on in the chat? I see a whole bunch of Wesley Curry too. Who is this person? Surf plays Nyan Nyan. Not ready for hardball, kiddo. I have no idea what's going on. Same for all 48. Okay, so apparently someone's talking some smack.
But let me see here. Rhoda No Last Name says, is the hat Irish Demon sent you a bush hat or a Tilly hat? I do believe it is a bush hat. I've got it up on the wall. So I do believe it's a bush hat, if I remember correctly. It does not have like the curves of like that. It comes down. It's similar to Mick Taylor's hat in Wolf Creek, if that makes any sense. Okay, so apparently Otangelo is trying to prove God again. You see, I don't know who Wesley Curry II is. That's just pretty silly. Colorado Biker says, I'll be coming through Oklahoma several times this summer. I'll buy you dinner. Dude, message me. Absolutely. Hang him. And Angie says, fuck him, JL. That's how we do it. Wesley Curry II, how does Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit saying unto you all, no time to talk Allah, mean that you are Christians according to him? I think you might be having a stroke. Call for help. Recognize the signs. So I honestly have no idea. But a huge giant thank you again to Randolph Richardson for hanging out with me. We're definitely going to do it again. That was an absolute blast. Oh, right. So the other stuff that I wanted to talk about today. So as you saw in the thumbnail, that these are some big things. So first and foremost, a disturbing thing that you may not have heard of here in Wisconsin. And I wanted to talk about it so that people hear about it and definitely get y'all's reaction to this, because this is kind of disturbing. Okay, so, a 2AHD Cat, thank you so much for $2 Freedom Dollars, says, I made a stream. Amazing, huh? It's amazing anytime you show up. Super chats or not, and I love you for it, 2AHD. I appreciate you being here, so thank you so much, and thank you for that support. So, this is really, really creepy. I'm going to have to share my screen. Apparently, I'm a frog wizard. Okay, Wesley, whatever you say. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see this. Now, this happened a few days ago, and this is what's currently going on in Wisconsin, okay? So there is a company, ThedaCare, files lawsuit to keep employees from leaving for Ascension. Now, to give an idea as to what is going on with this, like what this actually means, is that ThedaCare and Ascension are both hospitals, okay? And Ascension held a hiring drive or basically a hiring event where one employee from the stroke trauma center of ThedaCare went over and applied. They were offered a position with Ascension that was very impressive. That was more. It was a bigger raise than they were expecting. Better benefits. It was just a better job, and they took it to me. They were like, "Yes, absolutely." When the other workers at ThedaCare, and keep in mind, everyone at ThedaCare is at will employment, at will. So, it's a right to work state. They're at will employees. A number of other employees at ThedaCare heard about this excellent offer, and they went over to Ascension and also applied, and were all offered jobs. So 7 employees were offered jobs at Ascension from ThedaCare. Okay. So that was what went down. All of them were supposed to start work, begin the transition on a Friday, and begin work on Monday. So they were going to go from ThedaCare and go to Ascension. It's an at-will employment state, so it should be okay for them to do this. ThedaCare did not agree and decided to file a lawsuit to keep employees from leaving Ascension. So what they intended to do, ThedaCare was trying to get a court order to temporarily keep some of its employees from leaving after Ascension hired a majority of its 11-member interventional radiology and cardiovascular team. They handle basically stroke trauma. ThedaCare announced they filed for a temporary injunction against Ascension Wisconsin from hiring these employees. And then, so that's wild. It's an at-will employment. They can choose to quit at any time. They essentially did that by going to get hired, and they went and applied, and they gave notice, went through all the proper procedures, and they were going to go, and Theta didn't. And so Theta's argument is they needed more time to hire more professionals to cover those leaving employees. Otherwise, Theta could lose its accreditation, and it would risk the health of patients who come in because they have to travel farther to get to a tier 2 or I guess it's a tier 2 stroke unit. So that's what was argued in court. And unfortunately, So that was the argument that ThedaCare made in court against Ascension, which led to a judge granting them a temporary injunction in the stroke team case. These employees cannot leave ThedaCare. They are at-will employees, and they are legally barred from leaving ThedaCare to go somewhere else. They are stuck there until ThedaCare has enough time to replace them to ensure that there's no loss of accreditation and no determinable risk to patients' health. So this was precedent. The precedent was just set by this Wisconsin judge that an employer can stop, that an employer in an at-will employment state, at a right-to-work state, can bar you from quitting and legally keep you there. So what happened was the employees who were supposed to start at Ascension didn't show up to Ascension because they were legally barred from starting work there because there's an injunction against them, and they didn't show up for work at ThedaCare. Meaning the problems that ThedaCare was trying to avoid happened anyway because you can't legally force them to go to their jobs. So now so everything was affected the way ThedaCare was afraid of, but they made it happen, self-fulfilling prophecy, by trying to legally block people from leaving when it was their responsibility to cover these people, knowing that they were going to go. And the reason this got scary, and the reason this got really scary, was this. So that's what happened in Wisconsin. But legal precedents are a scary thing. And of course, you probably see it coming. It has led to this. Railroad argues possible strike will harm economy, asks judge to keep it from happening. So railroad argues possible strike will harm economy, asks judge to keep it from happening. This is the terrible precedent, because now the precedent has been set. See, in this particular one, and here's what's fucked up about this, what's really screwed up about this one, was this is the BNSF Railway Company, one of the largest freight rail carriers in the U.S., is requesting a federal court to stop a potential strike on the grounds that it would harm the economy after two unions representing thousands of the company's workers threatened a work stoppage over a new attendance policy set to begin at the onset of February. It is their right to do so as unionized workers. But the precedent has been set that an employer can go to a judge and get an injunction against his action, arguing harm to capitalism. And here we have a judge setting a precedent that puts capitalism ahead of your employment, ahead of the employee. The company's profits are worth more than you. You cannot leave when you want, or you cannot go to work for someone else unless you want, until they tell you you can. Because they can now, the precedent has been set that you can now be legally barred from going to another job. I mean, you could leave them, you could not show up, just like the employees at ThedaCare did. They just didn't go to work. So you can do that, but you can't start somewhere else until they tell you you can. And if you want to argue and fight, if you want to fight for better representation and fight against things that you feel are unfair in the workplace, they can ask a court to shut that down and block your actual representation. This precedent has been set. This will only be the beginning of this, because this just came out, I think it was the 19th. Today's the 23rd. This was published on the 19th. We are going to see more of this. Yep. And it's gonna get worse. So that's a scary thing. So be aware. I wanted people to hear about this and know that these things are happening. And typically in these extremely rural states, or whatever, but people need to be aware that these movements are occurring. So that precedents are being set in courts of law that demonstrably harm the backbone of this country, which is its middle class American workers. So that's really, really scary. And I wanted to share that because that kind of freaked me out. That was just like insane. That was insane to me. So I see Thor Rasmussen's in the house. Good to see you, another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Thor, for being here. I appreciate it. I saw I know there were some other names. Vesta Frey is in the house. Good to see you. Thank you so much. So much cry freedom. Stellarium Celestia, a member of the Godless Army. Good to see you. Stellariums, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know there were some other names that popped in, and I'm sorry if I didn't get a chance to say hi. Yes, I'm aware that Otangelo was there. Wesley Curry II is apparently still having a stroke. Ischemic events are very, very bad. You need to get that looked at, bud. And apparently Otangelo has run off. Thank you, Jinju. I appreciate that. He gets scared pretty easily. Loud noises, just and those emojis I think hurt his feelings. Really, really crazy stuff. You know what I forgot to do? There's something I forgot to do, and I'm really, really annoyed. I'm really annoyed I forgot to do it. And what I should have done was because I had it ready and I totally messed it up.
Are there not many songs about Otangelo? Is it 'cause nobody cares?
I swear I am 8 years old. I am 8 years old, but I love that. I love that video. I'd love it. It's hilarious. Logical Hillbilly says they want a judge to stop the strike, so the workers should file a countersuit to stop the policy responsible for the strike. It's absolutely crazy. And of course, this ties it up in court. And if before the decision is made, it will go into effect at the beginning of February. So it's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. But, hey, the precedent has been set. So what are you going to do? UKPI is in the house, another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much. Says hello to you, JL. Hello to you, UKPI. Pleasure having you here. Tony Regime says apparently Wesley is typing in tongues. Yeah, it sounds like it to me. Or looks like it because I'm reading it. Robert Caslow says, JL, why do you love foreskins? I don't, because I don't have mine. It's a bummer. I lost mine a long time ago. Yeah, it's wild and it's scary. Atheist Mando says capitalists don't actually care about the working class or the people. All the people, all they want is an increase of money. Everyone is a numeral digit to them. I hate to say it, but it is quite freaky that it seems like it's dog eat dog out there. It's every dog for himself. And we need our communities to band together more than ever. And it's getting really, really scary because it really is becoming every dog for themselves. Get every bone that you can because you might not get another chance. And I feel like a Praetorian watching the fall of the Roman Empire, just kind of sitting back and being like, "Yep, the whole thing's coming down. What are you gonna do? Like how could you stop it? What it is we band together as a community, as citizens, we band together and we do what we can. So, but it's scary. I mean, it's getting wild. We see little things like this, little nickels and dimes in the armor, and that's what leads to it. That's what leads to systemic failure. 2AHD, Kat is a new member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, 2AHD. 2AHD, yes, I'm saying that correctly. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And you of course, can become a member of the Godless Army for 99 cents a month. That's about all I really value my content at. So I appreciate all the support because it helps me continue to make more content and do cool stuff. So thank you so much again to AHD Cat. Love you. Commander Darkly says, thanks, JL. Absolutely. Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you, Commander Darklight. You rock. So I appreciate that. Wesley Curry says, I speak for Jesus. Given his dove, I shall walk away with the children the day Mecca is turned to dust and Jesus kills all on earth, having Omni laser print barcode tattoo. Obviously having a stroke. Signs of a stroke there, bud. Signs of a stroke. Really, really not good. Get that checked out because it's scary. All right. So that was the crazy precedent, or the crazy precedent that I wanted people to be aware of if you hadn't heard about that. Definitely look into it more. You can read all about it, but I wish. Hey, Reggio, it's good to see you, another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm not sure that's copy pasta. He talks in person, very similar to how he types in chat. Ooh, that's scary. That's a little scary. Okay, so what is this? No. Don't want to go down that road. So, update on Jingles before we dive into something that's kind of I'll have to give a warning before we dive into the end of this. And I don't know, this may get this something that people need to be aware of, and we're going to dive into that. So now the first thing was just like the update on Jingles. So Jingles, my good dog. And one second, so that anybody who's new here knows what I'm talking about, because he is my German Shepherd, and he is a good boy. And for those who like to see, pictures of dogs, that's my big guy. Jingles. So the update on Jingles' health. So we got the news back after because he went in for a needle aspirants of the mass in his abdomen, and they went in, they checked it out. It was really easy to do. He popped in, all was good, and he was also put on antibiotics. So Jingles, and the results from those samples came back, and to see if I can nail this in one shot, he was diagnosed with hemostatic. I didn't do it in one take. Hemostatic prostate hypoplasia cystosis. So that's what he was diagnosed with. So hemostatic prostate hypoplasia cystosis. So the good news is it is not cancer. That's excellent news. Though Jingles does not have cancer. We're really happy about that. So he does not have cancer. The problem is this is a result of him not being neutered. So if you are planning on neutering your dog, definitely neuter your dog or have them spayed, because those hormones can get really nasty in the future. And unfortunately, like we had Shotzi spayed before her first season. She's good to go. We chose, knowing the risks, to not have Jingles neutered. So first, because he's a full-blood German Shepherd, but those hormones go to assist him in what he does. But anyway, we didn't have him neutered, and unfortunately now this is one of the results of that. Fortunately, it's not one of the terrible diagnoses. The diagnosis we got is something that is treatable. Okay, it is not cancer. It is essentially, we didn't neuter him, and it's his prostate. Okay, so he is going in on the 27th to get neutered, or he thinks tutored. So he is going in to get neutered on the 27th. He's getting the snip. That will help, obviously, stop the production of those hormones that are inflaming his prostate. And he may need to get that drained out and like this, but we think that this will have a tremendous improvement on his health overall. Now, right now, the antibiotics that he has been on have really helped. His energy is way up. He's eating regularly. He's acting like his normal self, and hopefully he'll start putting weight back on. So essentially, he's just got to, we just got to get through to the 27th. So today is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So he's got to make it till Thursday, which no doubt that he will. We'll take him in. He's going to get the snip, and my wife will be taking care of him because I will be traveling. It's true, Colorado Biker. That's why we think he's probably going to. Colorado Biker puts up neutering will help, but it may be a continuing problem for a few months afterwards. And we were expecting that, so we think he's going to continue to be on antibiotics, obviously post surgery, and he's going to be on a special diet to help with that. But we think that this will help. He is, for those asking, he is 9 years old. Facti and Vesta, he is 9. So 9-year-old German Shepherd, and a lot of good years left in him. Look at that goofy dog. Look at that dog. Look at him like he just smoked a bowl and he wants some kibbles and bits. Look at that doofus. He's such a goof. Look at him. This is him when he's being serious. This is him, and this is job face. This is Jingles' job face. So this is when he is prepared to, he's listening, he's actively listening, and he's waiting for a command. So that's his act face. This is his I'm a doofus face because I have my giant unicorn and I'm getting in the mood. So yes, that's him with his giant unicorn that he got for Easter. That's him being absolutely positively spoiled. And that's him just hanging out. This picture that's taken when I was actually coming home. And my wife grabbed this shot when I was actually coming up the walkway. He heard me and he was waiting by the door for me. And this, of course, is just him, sitting by the scratched up wall that he can help, just being just a stoned out dog. You can see the little glasses and the J like sticking out of his mouth. That was because, and it was funny because Jingles really doesn't like having his picture taken. This is him, outside in the backyard when we were going through training. Very, very happy dog. When he was learning his perimeter routines, he was really, really good there, and he's a fantastic dog. He's so good. So good news for Jingles, and we're glad he's going to be okay. We hope he's going to be okay. Jingles, GSDs, or German Shepherd dogs, typically can live upwards of 10 to 12 years. But depending upon health and genetic, if they have no real genetic issues like hip dysplasia or other issues, they can live upwards of 15. So, and he shows no signs of cataracts, no signs of arthritis, no hip dysplasia, nothing at all. We're not giving up on him. That's why we're so glad we went to this new doctor. The new doctor's a little bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for. The new doctor knew exactly what to do and exactly what to look for. The previous clinic wrote him off, which really upset my wife and I. This clinic did not. And they said, and boom, because the other clinic was like, yeah, it's kidney disease. He's done. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Now we have this. We're in good shape now. Damn, I think I got a beard hair in my mouth. It's a hazard of having a mustache. So that's my guy. That's my big boy Jingles. He's a good guy. Look at that guy. Ah, Jingle face. Ah, Jingle nose. That's my boy. That's my good dog. I love him. I love him so much. He's a good dog. All right. So that's the update on Jingles. Good news. We will keep everyone apprised to let you know how he is doing. And Robert Caslow says, dunno, but a jail fart can melt floor tile. You ain't kidding. Melt floor tile or strip paint. You are not kidding. That is no lie. So that is the update on Jingles, and we're glad that he was really, really good. So let me see. Colorado Biker says, our GSDs are both solid black and from a working line, not a show line. Great. And Tony Regime says, but no more jingle balls. No more jingle balls. This is true. There will be no more jingle balls. There will just be jingles. All right. What is this? I'm so sorry, Mr. Andras. His lymphoma took my Bismarck last May. Yeah, that would gut me. It's terrible. So Ilya. Oh, Ilya, good to see you. Thank you so much. It says my GC is almost 11. He has two speeds. Old man and squirrel. So does Jingles. Jingles kind of has old man because he hasn't been feeling well, but he still has squirrel speed. Absolutely. And he will hit that fence like a truck. So, but yep. All right. What's going on here? Middle right looks like he just let one rip after holding it in too long. It's so true. I freaking love that dog. He's such a goof. I have this one where he's on the love seat and he's like stretched out and his head is kind of cocked up. And I titled that one, Draw Me Like One of Your French Girls. So, but yeah, I love him. I love him so much. He's a fantastic dog. So, hopefully I will update you as we get more information about him. So as we get more information about his health situation, I will continue to update you. I see a squirrel. Yeah. And there's Aaron Reese says, oh yes, I see those awesome free deals. So I can see how long you all have been members. Aaron Reese is member for 3 months. Thank you so much, Aaron Reese. You rock. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about. So this is the last thing I want to chat about. And I was hoping, I really wanted Johnny O on here. Robert Caslow, I have not tried to debate Ray Comfort. Ray Comfort doesn't debate. Ray Comfort preaches, which is why nobody really wants to debate him. He doesn't want to answer questions. He doesn't want to clarify positions. He doesn't want to engage on logic or reason or how he knows things to be true or justification or epistemology. He just wants to preach the Bible. And I think that's why nobody really wants to debate him anymore. And he also targets people who really don't know better. If you watch his videos when he's down in Huntington Beach and he's just wandering the boardwalk and he's looking for people, he never engages in conversations. He just wants to preach at people. So, and he doesn't care what they believe. He's like, I have a Bible. Do you have a Bible? No, I don't. Can I give you one? No, I do respectfully decline. Can I show you mine? No, I respectfully decline. I'm going to show it to you anyway. And the guy's like, okay. So it's just ridiculous. So yeah, he's not interested in doing that. He yes, Asa. He harasses people and declares them sinners. Fuck that guy. Agree. Absolutely fuck that guy. All right. So Colorado Biker says, best of luck with the German Shepherd. Hope he completely recovers, lives a long, healthy, and obviously happy life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, so, okay. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, Vizsla led 15 years. Wow. That's a happy dog. A lot of happy memories. Very cool. All right. So this next one. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Ilya says, if you want to see how Comfort debates, check out the one he did with Conspiracy Cats. He openly said he was not there to debate. He's not. He's there to preach. Every opportunity to get in front of an audience is there to preach. So yeah, that's just the way it is. So I want to go over this video, but I want to give some context to this. Going forward from this point on, I need everybody to really, really listen. Really, really listen to this. There are some statements made in this video that may be triggering to some. This will obviously be in the warning when I cover this video. And I don't know what the ramifications of this video will be. Because this video was actually pulled off of YouTube for basically comments that John MacArthur was saying. This is a John MacArthur video, and he says some really hateful stuff in this. So John MacArthur is a preacher, as a pastor out of California with the Grace Community Church. John MacArthur is also that one who is getting into trouble with the state for violating mandates, violating pandemic mandates, and he's gotten and his behavior or his violation of those with his church have resulted in the deaths of a few congregants. I think he's lost 9 thus far. So basically holding super spreader events because he doesn't care. That's just what it is. So this is John MacArthur. He is, yes, Sean Alexander. He is a sack of crap. So I don't think this will endanger because I've seen worse stuff put on. I've seen stuff like Team has looked at worse stuff, like some really, really gross stuff. But yes, Robert Castle, his church was a super spreader site. But we're gonna do. But I'm not because I'm commenting on this. I'm gonna keep pausing, and we're only gonna go over small bits. So, but this is a good example. So anybody out there happens to be listening, I know that we have 47 people in the chat. So this is what this is about. Anyway, and plus, if we're to get hit with a live stream, I can always pull this to make sure it doesn't hit me after the fact. I can always pull it, and we can be good to go. But this is my commentary on this video. So because it made it out to other sites, and so thank you to Johnny O for helping me to pull this thing. So because this needs to be exposed. So this is John MacArthur doing his thing and giving his stupid little speech, or giving his stupid little sermon, and it's only about 2 minutes long. And this was yanked. So,
simply stated, there is no.
I was like, let me make sure that this correctly, and there we go. I just want to make sure. Oh, Bob Nodell says, sorry, I'm going to have to bounce early start midnight here in Irish Demon Land. Absolutely. Have a great one. Thank you so much for coming out, Bob Nodell. I will definitely all the best to you. So we'll see you on the next one, bud. All right. So here we go.
Simply stated, there is no such thing as transgender.
So that's where it starts. And that's why I'm gonna pause this up. We're gonna break this down. So this is a statement that this dude made, and I'm gonna make myself bigger. So this is a statement this guy made, and it just gets worse. So he made this comment, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And you can see how he tries to justify this crap. And I'm glad this thing was yanked because of what it propagates, but it still needs to be addressed. So I know I'm taking a risk. I know I am. Is it choppy?
You're either XX or XY. That's it.
And he's wrong on that one too. That is absolutely categorically wrong. That is categorically wrong what he is saying right there. We know it's karyotype testing. Either he is ignoring it, he doesn't know it, or he's either ignorant or he's being deceptive. It's one of the two. Karyotype testing is how we determine what the chromosome presentation is in a human being. Pretty much anything is we test a karyotype, and we that's how we know that there are more presentations than just XXXY. That's deeply ignorant of the actual science. So there are so many presentations. And yes, Aaron Reese, you are correct. That's sex, not gender, and still false as hell. So it's super ignorant and leaves a lot of stuff out. But like I said,
God made man male and female.
begging the question.
That is determined genetically. That is physiology. That is science. That is reality.
Okay, just talking about biological sex, that's one thing, but that's not the argument, and that's not what transgenderism is talking about. Transgenderism is about gender identity, and that's why it's gender, not trans biological sex. Okay, it's transgenderism, and transitioning can be a part of that, but not all transgenders want to fully transition. Okay, they just want to present their gender identity as the one that they feel that they are, the one that they are, actually, not the that they feel they are, the one that they are. So that's all it is. So that's it. And he doesn't see, he seems to be conflating these two things, thinking they're the same thing.
This notion that you are something other than your biology is a cultural construct.
That's bullshit.
Intended as an assault on God.
And that's
the only
that's
way you
crap.
can address it, honestly, is to say, God made you. And God made.
You know what I'm going to have to do? You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to have to do this.
Exactly the way he wanted you to be. You're not only fighting.
Dang it, hang on a sec. Hang on. Okay, let me do this real quick.
God.
Oh, here. Let me remove that. Hang on. Let me jump here. So apparently I'm lagging a little bit. Let me know if it's buffering. Apparently I lagged a little bit. So, and that's right, Mr. Andre, you are correct. Why is it any skin off his ass anyway? But it's wrong. So let me jump.
Physical creation. You are, even more importantly, fighting God in his sovereignty.
Let's do this. And
Simply stated, there is.
okay, so we were about there. So he makes this comment about, okay, so the video's fucking up. So it may be the video itself. It looked to me like I was lagging a little bit there, which is kind of annoying. So
Sovereignty.
Okay,
You are
right.
fighting God in his spiritual relationship to you. This is a war on God.
it's not.
I'm not going to let God tell me who I am. I'm not going to let God define me. I'm going to be my own God. I'm going to define.
Okay, so he's assuming here that, and here's what's wild, is that he walks, he initially kicks this whole thing off by saying that it doesn't exist, and then proceeds through the course of this video to straight up say that people who are this this is the qualification. Like they're at war with God. They're basically, telling God to fuck off. They're telling God that they don't want a God. That they're going to be their own God. They're going to determine their own stuff. So it's wild how he does this. But there's something really, really bad that's coming up, and this is why I wanted to address this.
Myself, and you're in Romans 1, and that's a reprobate mind. That's a mind that doesn't even function.
Okay, that's what's scary right there. What he just did, what he just said right there, is the scariest thing. When he references a reprobate mind, what he's doing there is he's paraphrasing Romans 1:28. And actually, it's so problematic, I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. So he is paraphrasing Romans 1:28. And when he says reprobate, this is problematic because there's two different ways of looking at that word. Now, given how conservative John MacArthur is and how conservative his base is, all the people that listen to his crap, okay? Given that, the problem with this is this. So, not to mention, it was also a straw man attacking the notion that thinking that transgenderism is a cultural construct and is subjective. Cultural constructs are subjective, not necessarily true, but the fields of science that back up what transgenderism is not a cultural construct. That's science based upon its evidence, is what it is. So it's complete straw man. He's straw manning all the places. He's begging the question about the truth of God, truth of the Bible. But here's the real thing: when he used that reprobate mind shit. And this is what this is what bothered me the most and scared me the most. And people need to be aware of the most, at least people in California, is that I want to make sure that I solidify. Here we go. So MacArthur is paraphrasing Romans 1:28 when he refers to a reprobate mind. While that may seem at first like a throwaway Christian insult, which some people might just be like, just reprobate mind, meh. So its actually meaning is a bit more insidious. When many people think of reprobate, meaning kind of like unprincipled or depraved, like they're just like, they're insulting you. Oh, you're just a sick person. You're just gross. Like they're saying that. That's where they think that they mean that. But and it can mean that. It can. But there's a second definition to that. And the secondary definition of that is well understood by Calvinists and some really fundy Christians. And that is, in the context of the Bible, reprobate is someone who is rejected by God and is beyond the hope of salvation. That's what they're referring to. Okay? What John MacArthur has done, whether he recognizes it or not, is he has essentially dog whistled to anti-transgender individuals. And he is essentially has contributed to making this nation less safe for transgendered individuals. Because there are people out there who will take that and understand, they're hopeless. Yes, Mr. Andrat, they are predestined to damnation. They're going to hell anyway. And people who are going to hell, some fundies out there think that they shouldn't be here. And that's fucking scary. So yeah, it had to be pointed out that MacArthur is endangering human lives with that rhetoric. That his whole reprobate mind thing, while he may not, I can't speak to his intentions. Maybe he intended it, maybe he did not. Later on in that sermon, he starts trying to take the carrot position instead of the stick. So maybe he's trying to cover up because he realizes what he did. He's trying to basically give himself some cushion from the responsibility of dog whistling to, dangerous fundamental Christians. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Because the very beginning of it, he claims the thing doesn't exist. And then he literally walks down throughout the sermon, talks about how to identify it and how to fight it. You don't say unicorns don't exist and then proceed to explain in graphic detail how to identify them and then beat them and then fight them. So obviously he knows transgenders exist. And I think it's reasonable to conclude that he may be dog whistling and he recognizes it. By categorizing transgenders in this way. And people need to be made aware of that. That is fucking scary. And I'm really disturbed that not more people would call him on this. Now, I will actually be doing a full created video on that video. I have it. I'm pretty sure for some weird reason it wasn't playing well here. I have no idea why, but yeah, I'm going to make a creative video on this. I'm going to go into much deeper detail. I'm going to go about that stuff and basically break it down so people can understand it. But yeah, that's John MacArthur, who can't make up his mind, who can't pick a lane whether or not transgenderism exists, and then apparently wants to argue from the standpoint that it does, and apparently dog whistle to Christian fundies that transgender people are condemned to hell anyway. They're damned anyway. They're beyond hope of salvation, and what that entails. And what was really messed up, and you'll definitely see it more, is in the end, and he caps it off in the absolute worst of ways. This asshole caps it off by victim blaming transgenders, saying that the reason transgenders feel this way is that transgenders feel isolation. They feel they don't feel love, they don't feel support, they don't feel acknowledgement, they don't feel acceptance. And he believes the reason they don't feel these things is because they choose to be transgendered. He victim blames transgenders for the way they feel while completely ignoring the fact that it is his rhetoric that results, and the rhetoric of hundreds of others around this nation, that results in the ostracization of transgenders, the treatment of transgenders across this nation. Their rhetoric is why they feel alone. They don't choose. If they had a choice, I'm willing to hazard, if transgenders had a choice, given how transgenders are treated in this nation and across the world, not just America, across the world, I hazard that they would choose not to be transgender if there was a choice. Why would you willingly do that? The same argument was given to me about someone once argued, was like, why would the apostles willingly die for a lie? The gospels must be true, because the apostles wouldn't willingly die for a lie. That same logic, we have that same logic to try and justify your truth, like that can be applied to this situation. But it doesn't work because it's not a choice. And apostles can be deceived. They can die for a lie as much as transgenders can die for the truth of who they are. So it's absolutely twisted. Yes, Sean Alexander. It's like telling a rape victim they deserved it for wearing that skirt. Fuck this asshole. Fuck him in the goat ass. So this guy really aggravated, but I will go after this dude, and I will break it down. Transgenders don't need love, support, acknowledgement, and acceptance because they're transgendered. They fucking need it because they're human beings. What an intolerant piece of shit. And I can see why it was yanked. It was yanked by YouTube for being hate speech. And I didn't even play the whole thing because the thing was fucking up. So, but yeah, we're just going to call you. That's just what it is. It's a dangerous video. It sets a disgusting precedent, and it's got to be pointed out. If it gets my channel a hit, it gets my channel a hit. I'm willing to take that because people need to be aware of what this individual is doing. Considering he commands so much authority, he has millions and millions of dollars. He's ultra wealthy. He has power and influence. People need to know what this dude is saying. They need to expose this crap for it. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, I'll be jumping after him and tearing that shit down because intolerance. Holy fucking crap. Fuck this asshole. I cannot wait. This is the second time MacArthur will be I'll be looking at him on my channel, and I feel like I will tear his ass down. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to release that video. And I know I wanted to address, and thank you, Mystique Tina Jones, new member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. You rock. So thank you. Appreciate that. And best of phrase is, my husband growing had a friend who was gay, and thanks to assholes like him, he committed suicide as a teenager. It's fucking insane. It's absolutely unacceptable. And I look forward to ripping his ass. And I know that even as a member of the LGBTQ community, I have not stepped foot. I have not stepped foot in the trans arena, because it's a huge conversation. Because I myself am not trans, and even though I am bi, and I feel that I can speak to the gay experience in America, the trans experience is not necessarily the gay experience, or the LGB experience. The trans experience, I think, has a level of uniqueness to it that I cannot relate to. It's like me trying to relate to the it sounds terrible. Me trying to relate to the Black experience in America. And I can't, because I just, for obvious reasons, and I'm not trans, and I didn't want to speak to something that I am not a part of. What I wanted to be is I wanted to be an ally, if and when needed. If it is called upon me to do this, I will do that. But I didn't want to misrepresent. I don't want to fight someone's fight when they know how to fight that fight better, when I could potentially go in there and make shit worse. But when it comes down to shit like this, to intolerant bullshit like this, that is dog whistling and dangerous and is endangering people's lives, I have to say something. So I hope in this next video that I represent that fight fairly, that I represent it well, because oftentimes we are called to action. We are called to be allies. And we have to do our best when we do that. So I believe that this is my turn to step up and say some, just my turn out of many voices to step up and do my part when it comes to this. And I hope I do it well. I really, really do. So definitely, I'm looking forward to putting that one together. I know it shouldn't be a difficult conversation. It shouldn't be. The evidence the evidence says it shouldn't be. Arguing transgender, given the evidence, arguing transgenderism or transgender rights or transgender representation should be like evolution. Sorry, no, there's an argument there too. Fuck, it should be like fucking gravity. There's no argument. It should be as simple as that, but unfortunately, it is fucking not, because we got a lot of goddamn ignorant people in this world. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So yep. So I definitely do it. So definitely to everyone out there who is trans, who is a member of the LGBTQ community, I hope I represent the fight. I hope I represent the argument well. I hope I do it well. Any information, like any feedback, obviously. So I hope I do it well. But look forward to that. That's coming up next week. I will definitely. I'm gonna hammer that dude. I'm gonna hammer him hard. What do we got here? Atheist Mando says, if you want to interview some trans people, you can hit me up. As someone that is trans, I can tell you about the hardships that come with gender dysphoria. Definitely. We could definitely do that on a future show. I would love to get to talking about something like this. And I would love to get feedback from anyone who is trans in the audience. Get your feedback on what this says to you. What this should. There is not enough conversation about the personal experience of trans people in America or trans people in the world when confronted with this. It is insane. And that is a conversation that needs to be had at the forefront of our country, the experience there when you are faced with this. These conversations were had back in the 60s. The civil rights movement put the Black experience in America at the forefront of everybody's minds. It called forth those who would be allies and those who would fight for what they knew to be right, the equal representation of African Americans in this nation. And they fought hard. They represent, and it's still a fight to this fucking day. But successes were had. Many battles were won. Many sacrifices were made. Losses were had. It's ugly, disgusting, and a terrible place in American history. We're at that place again. And I, for one, am sick and fucking tired of hearing about friends losing this fight because no one is there. Too many of our brothers and sisters feel isolated and unrepresented and without a voice and terrified by their communities and the rhetoric they hear every day, and they don't deserve that. That is a personal hell that nobody deserves. And I, for one, intend to fight it. I really, really do. All right. So that was I know that was a kind of a, that was a heavy, it was really, really heavy. I know we try to keep it kind of light here, but occasionally, man, we got to step it up. We got to step it. Yeah, everybody can step it up. And so we are going to do it. Yes. Thank you, Maximal. That is yes, absolutely. You know what? I actually want to share that link. I want to share that link to Forrest Valkai. So it was called Sex and Sensibility. Is a fantastic video, and I want everybody, since I may actually link it in my community, I may actually link this in my community tab, because Forrest is amazing. I hope to one day have him on the show, and pow, we're going to put that right there in the chat. That is the link. That is the link right there to Forrest Valkai, Sex and Sensibility. Maximal, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I'm so glad that you put that up there, because I have sent this video to people and they have not responded. They'll do their rhetoric, blah, 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 yeah, like this. And I will throw them that video and be like, just watch this. Never hear from them again. You know, which is awesome. And I really do. And actually, I mean, I don't think I'm doxing him. I don't have his address or anything like this, but I do know. So I can say this because okay, I found this to be really, really cool. Because I had no idea about this, but I thought that this was awesome. So here we go. This is from April 2018, and I can share this if you wanted to know this. I didn't know. I know many people might not know this, but so there he is. That's Forrest Valkai. Actually, his name is Forrest Mayer. And Forrest Mayer, and this is an interview he did for the Tulsa People. Forrest Mayer ran for the State House of Representatives, District 76. So he ran for the HOR, for the Oklahoma HOR, because he's over in Tulsa, about 45 minutes south of me. How wild is that? Imagine my surprise, you know? Imagine my surprise when I found out he is literally 45 minutes away from me. And what he does is his primary field of research is in integrative organism biology. So he studies evolution every single day. So yeah, really, really cool. This dude is really, really awesome. And yes, Maximal, the run Forrest run. So unfortunately, he did lose. He lost, I think, it was 60. It was 68 to 32 or it was something like that. It was 67 to 33 or something like that against the Republican incumbent, because he ran on the Democratic ticket. But he does amazing work. I love his videos. The dude is crazy smart. He's an excellent science educator because he's an excellent science communicator. He gets these things across. So definitely, if you get an opportunity, check that video out, Sex and Sensibility. I'm definitely going to link it in my community tab so that everybody can check it out, because I absolutely love it. So there you go. But yeah, that's Forrest Mayer, teacher, educator, entertainer, teacher, and of course, government hopeful. Ran for House of Representatives. I don't know if he's going to run again. I think it would be cool if he did. He's definitely got my vote. I'll vote for him. But that's a cool dude. But that's him. So a little bit of information. I hope one day, because he's so close, I hope one day that I can have him on my show, because I really want to address. I want to pick his brain about the misrepresentation of Mary Schweitzer. I want to pick his brain about the misrepresentation of punctuated equilibrium. I really want to dive into that, and I want Otangelo to watch. Otangelo, I want you here to watch the video. I think it would be great. Just Call Me Avi says, question, may I use your likeness in my videos, JL? Also, I need to go to bed, so good day. Good night. Good night. Yes. Just Call Me Avi. You can use my image wherever you want. You can even put it on things. So that was gross. UKB says, I am father of the strongest person I know who has started the journey to change. Awesome. Definitely. Congratulations. I wish them all the absolute best. And it's, not often do they have a support system like that. Support systems are so vitally important. And the fact that your child has that is amazing. So good. So absolutely good. Maxwell says, Otangelo. And sacrifice of mitochondria. So, yes. I definitely want brave Otangelo ran away. Bravely ran away. When evolution raised its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled. So anyway, but absolutely, I want Otangelo to watch that video specifically. I want to talk with Forrest for about an hour, pick his brain on this stuff. I know he's really, really busy, but hopefully I can set that up in the future. That would be super, super cool. Once I can figure out how to get in touch with him. Reggio says, I've caught Forrest on another channel. He was on with Shannon Q. I would love to do that. I absolutely would love to do that. I would love to get him on if he's got the time. Maybe it'll cost me. Maybe speaking engagements or speaking appearances cost time. He charges for that. I don't know. So maybe I can contact Shannon and she can let me know. But I want to have him on. I think it'll be absolutely cool. So anyway, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the things I wanted to chat about. I want to chat about what's going on. I wanted to talk with Randolph because that was fantastic. I wanted to chat about the craziness in Wisconsin so that people were aware of, just how nuts it's getting in some areas of this country and the crazy precedents that were set. If you are politically active, keep your eyes open because your voice may be needed to stop crap like that from happening. Vesta Freya says, bridge the divide. Can we clockwork Orange Otangelo to watch that video? I wish we could. But unfortunately, he's free to be ignorant. We just keep challenging him. It's the best that we can do. We will just keep challenging him. Reggio says Captain Dadpool was the channel. He's been there a few times. I will have to. Maybe I'll contact Captain Dad. I think I'll contact Captain Dadpool and see if I can get in touch with how to get in touch with Forrest. So I'd love to have him on. I think it's gonna be awesome. All right, so that's pretty much it. And I wanted to discuss the John MacArthur video. And luckily it was a sign. It was screwing up like that. Maybe they won't be able to. Maybe I won't take the ding. But if I take the ding, fuck it. I will take the ding. I don't care. It needs to be addressed. Psychos like that need to be addressed. So there you go. So that's pretty much it. So I guess I'll just run it down. We've been going for about, look at that, 2 hours, 28 minutes, 55 seconds. I think this is a perfect opportunity. So here we go. So what do we got going on? I've got new creative content coming up. Obviously, I'm going to be covering the John MacArthur video, and I've got other stuff going on. I've also got a new one about Greg Locke coming up. Greg Locke is returning to the channel again because he just continues to be a big old idiot. And of course, for the first time, Eric Metaxas is going to be coming onto the show. I'm going to be covering him as well, and because he wrote a book called Is Atheism Dead? And it's apparently a huge bestseller, and I looked at it and read through it, and apparently it's literally just a collection of like arguments from incredulity. It's really kind of sad. So I'm looking forward to tearing that one apart. It's a little interview that Metaxas did, Eric Metaxas. I'm looking forward to taking that one down. That's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, I got Weekinhorror as well. Weekinhorror is coming into the end of January. We got one more episode 319. That's going to be this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. You know where Weekinhorror is. It's the other channel that's associated with this channel where we talk about horror movies and such. And of course, we are giving away a Weekinhorror pint glass for the trivia question there. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. The next episode 320, I will not be in town. That will be Johnny, Alex, and Eugene will be taking care of that one while I am traveling because I will be going back down to Dallas so I can hang out with Irish Demon. Irish Demon, team, Johnny, it's going to be an absolute blast. Then they're going to book it up to Vegas and book it up to Vegas and then book it up to Seattle to go look at Glenn Serio and look at him in his court trial, look at him in his little yoga pants with his ass hanging out and the shirt and jacket that his lawyer lends him. It's absolutely hilarious. So, but definitely, I'm looking forward to that. But next episode is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Every single Wednesday. We haven't missed a Wednesday yet. We occasionally have to move to Thursday, but we get one every single week. Other than that, that is pretty much it. So thank you to everybody who came in. I will be driving, which means I will have my license on me. But then again, I don't drive like a dick, so I don't get pulled over all the time. So big, huge, giant thank you to all of the channel members. All of you are absolutely amazing. You help me continue to make content. And I love you all. I appreciate every single one of you. And of course, you too, like I said before, can become a channel member for 99 cents a month. You get access to the channel badge, the channel member badge, which is the evolving brain, the longer you're with the channel. And of course, all of the very cool emojis that I make for you, like Crying Otangelo, Darth Dawkins with red duct tape on his face, Donut Earth, several philosophers, Meh Koala, and even Dr. Peel. There's a Dr. Peel emoji, and Ken Hovind behind bars, because I hope to have them on the channel one day too. I want to have a conversation with Matt Powell. I really, really do. That smug little shit. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And of course, the more members, the more emojis I get to unlock. So I'm looking forward to getting those out to you. I appreciate that. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and to all of the super chats, thank you so much. Your support helps to make this all possible. That's how we pay the bills around here. It's how we keep this internet going. So love you all so very, very much. I appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. So as always, in closing, thank you. Be safe. Be excellent to each other. And together, we can bridge the divide.